Hey everybody, welcome back to AvPvE. This is Aliens versus Predator versus Engineers, session 18 of the campaign. The players have some big decisions to make as they investigate the unknown star system that they believe the engineer ship is coming from. And not much to say other than we're just going to get into it. Please, if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. Please like the video, comment below. We're coming up on the end of this campaign, and we're going to have some Blade Runner coming in the next few weeks, and we might play a little bit. We're going to not might. We're going to play a little more Conan, and we will get back to Alien eventually. I've got Heart of Darkness here, which I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that just yet. But anyway, like I said, like and subscribe, and we'll see you soon. Uh, we've got video, we've got voice. Everything seems to be. We'll see how stable it is.
Yeah.
It's supposedly a lot more stable than the regular system. So maybe finally they've listened to what everybody wants and they've actually done something. That would be nice, right?
Well, it doesn't take much of an improvement to be better.
Unfortunately, that is true. Um,
The character sheet looks different too. It's
does it?
Really?
oh, I mean not like formatting, just the color scheme. I don't know. Maybe I have.
There might have been some sort of update to the character sheet.
Yeah, I mean it's easier to read. That's for sure.
All right.
It could just be my color preferences from my computer too, but it just looks
Oh,
different. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
gotcha. All right. So before we do anything, before we move any further forward, um, I I'm really excited about Blade Runner. Um, the I don't know any other way to put it. I'm really excited for it and what I've seen in the just I've read through the case file it comes with a couple times, and I I was listening to Victory Condition Gaming, who they've done their first two sessions of the first case file. I'm almost done with the first session, so I'm just listening to how he did it, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Uh, the Electric Sheep, the first case file, is supposed to be the first of a campaign that the additional case files will come out over the next year or so. So we'll see what all that turns into. But they did a really beautiful job with integrating it into Roll20. Um, of course, we had to hit a certain level on the Kickstarter for that to happen. So, but it's I was very pleased to get my download code and put that in and find that I really don't have to do anything. It's all set up for me. Because that's it's very time consuming to do all that. But maybe we can play that next week. I don't know what you guys think. I guess it depends on what happens with this. Of course, next week is what, Wednesday the 21st, the Wednesday before Christmas. I am free. I don't have to work, so.
I'm good.
Yeah, I'm good.
I have to take. I think I'm good up until noon my time, but I have to take my wife to her surgeon for a follow up.
Okay.
21st, so at 1:20, and it's 1:20, and it's in Rush. It's down in Rush off of 290, so it's about an hour and a half away from here. So I'd have to duck out, but yeah,
Well, that's
that's good.
fine. That's fine. We can always, um, we can always just run it a hair shorter. It's no big deal. Um, what
That's
episode is it?
that's one thing I don't miss.
What's that?
Driving around Chicago or any big city, frankly. Washington D.C. has a couple nightmares around the Beltway.
Oh yeah.
Atlanta during rush hour, forget trying to get to the airport. That place is a zoo.
All right.
All right.
All right. Well, here we are. Real quick, does anybody have XP to spend that we need to figure that out? Just to
Um,
check your
I
sheet.
do actually. I think. Right. I never updated that list
All
last
right.
time.
Well, let's
I
figure
did.
that out real quick. What do you want to do with that?
Uh, what is it? What do you have to do if you? I'd like to get Comtech, but I have a 0. So what do you have to do to learn
Um,
that? Is it like somebody has to teach you, or I forget?
yeah, I believe the way the rules stated is that if you don't have that skill at all, you have to have made a role in it in the previous session in order to spend
Okay.
points, unless you've got someone that can, unless you've got someone with you that can teach you, which you guys have a couple guys that are very good at context. So I don't.
all right, and I have a question. I
Right.
thought the rule book said, at least when you're making your character, that you're limited to 7. Are you limited to like 7 skills or something?
Correct,
But
correct. Of the
but
12
but
skills in the game, you can't have
Oh,
points in more than 7 of them.
is that for the entire game?
Yeah, it's supposed to indicate the limitations of human beings and what they can know how to do.
So if turning a 0 to a 1 would give
yeah.
you an 8th skill, you
Yeah. I
can't
can't
do
do
it.
that.
Correct.
All right.
Yeah. I can't do that. So never mind that. And the max for us for core skill, not skills, but core attributes like strength. It's a 5 or 6, right?
It is 5, but the game doesn't have an allowance for increasing those.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I forget. Okay. So
What
I,
do you
I
mean?
don't know that I can do anything with
Five's
experience.
the most you can get on a right. There's nothing to increase an attribute.
Yeah, there's not a yeah, not a
Yeah, but
mechanic.
skills
Okay,
max
I'm
out
gonna
at
have
5.
to. Oh, Lord. Since I'm a Marine, can I use the CMOM for pellets, or are
Um,
we not using that? We're
no,
not using the
I'll let
expansion.
you do that. I'll let you do that.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll
I
take a
don't
look
think
at that
that's
as you
unfair.
guys organize what's going on.
All right.
Okay. Cool.
Well, I believe where we had left off, you guys had dropped. You guys had dropped Verhoeven and one of the SSI guys off at a colony on the edge of UA space. Uh, right here, I'd have to double check what the colony name was, but I guess it really doesn't matter that much right now. And you, I believe, were heading off to here, a system that is unsurveyed that is known as the Vorach system. But it's beyond the frontier. It hasn't been surveyed, but where um, that is where the lines have intersected, if that makes sense. And I don't know that there was anything else you guys needed or wanted to do before heading off. I think that's where we left off.
Yeah, we returned the transponder back to the Magellan.
Yeah.
Um, a while ago, we had taken the PDATs out and put them in storage, right? The ones that gave us false identities.
Oh, the chips, the
The
PDTs.
chips, I mean,
Yep.
the PDTs. Did that. We checked to see what weaponry and stuff we had. I think we're done with all the paperwork and preparation. Unless you guys have something else, but how
Uh,
long did we say it was going to take? How many parsecs is it from there to there?
you are talking right at 9, give or take.
All right.
So almost 2 months in cryo to get there.
Okie doke.
All right. All right, so we can, without further ado, we can flash forward to that.
How often am I supposed to come out of cryo to do maintenance?
It's supposed to be weekly,
Oh, okay.
but it's just way too mechanics heavy on the game. You know, or not mechanics heavy, but too accounting heavy is the best way to put it. You know, it puts you in a situation where you're constantly getting out of cryo, doing maintenance, going back into cryo. It's just I've found it to be in another campaign I ran, I found it to be just a pain in the ass in the end. So I usually handle it as a when you wake up, do your maintenance roll and move on in
Okay.
life. Um,
Well, and I had a jillion successes from that last one. All right, let's continue.
yep. So you guys are going to be in cryo for 54 days. Um,
What was Rudy going to do?
Rudy was going to stay out of cryo to continue her
Studies, right?
yeah, her self-education on the engineer language. She had spent all the XP she needed to make herself fluent in it, but she needed the time to actually work on that. So that was her plan.
All right. Well, and we don't have a problem with cryo chambers anyway because we dropped Verhoeven. Who else did we drop off?
Dropped off one of the security guys too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
All right.
you guys have two of them left on board. All right. So, Bob, does Dr. Jake Sinclair have a dream in this particularly long cryo?
No, I think he just went inside with his comfort blankie, and it was a quiet, dreamless sleep through the endless stars.
Okay. All right. That works for me. What about Dwayne Hicks?
Well, Dwayne's got the same nightmare that he's
Oh, wait a
been
minute.
having. Oh,
Hold on. I keep forgetting we have two Dwaynes.
oh, two Dwaynes. You said Dwayne
Two
Hicks,
Dwaynes.
not
It's
We
Dwayne.
just call him
I
Hicks.
gotta remember to say Hicks. I'm
Dwayne
sorry.
Dunning. Okay.
Yeah.
You did. Art. I don't remember if you
I
did.
should
All
just
right.
say Hicks is the point.
All right, Hicks. Let Hicks go.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, Hicks has a recurring nightmare that he had from before we found Ripley and Newt, which is losing them, not being able to reach them, and them being taken down a dark corridor. And he thought he was over having those kind of nightmares, but I guess not.
Okay. All right. Very good. And Mr. Dwayne Dunning,
All right.
the other Dwayne.
Well, you remember the nightmare Dwayne was having about reliving the episode on the station, and he's got the same thing as he going through the station, but every turn brings him back to that section where the hive was with the and he keeps coming back to that. Every time he tries to leave, he comes back to that over and over again. He keeps coming back. And there's that person off there, all encrusted in that black stuff. And when he goes over this time, though, instead of the woman crying for help, it's Newt crying for help. Help me. Why are you leaving me? Help me. And then it just keeps rolling on a loop.
Gotcha. There we go. All right.
So on just a rules question here for the new talent, can I pick up a talent that increases, say, contact that I have 0 of, but it gives me a bonus for contact rolls, or do you have to have contact already known to be able to use a talent that increases
You
Did
know,
you mod?
that's an interesting question because the game really doesn't have a prerequisite, set up for those types of things. Um, which one are you looking at?
I mean, it would make sense to do remote. Uh, you're qualified to set up, control, and repair remote sentry guns and other remotely controlled battlefield devices, and to pilot remote vehicles and pups. You got a +2 to contact to do those things.
Yeah, I mean that's got a lot of logic to it. I would say it makes sense that you could have the training in those specific items without necessarily having, because Comtech, like all the skills in the game, Comtech, not all of them, but most of them, Comtech is a pretty wide range
Right,
of abilities. You know what I mean? It's
right.
everything from troubleshooting computers to bypassing doors.
Hmm.
So I think that it would stand to reason that you could have training in doing those things without necessarily having a wider base of Comtech knowledge, if that makes
Okay,
sense.
that makes sense too, because like maybe having a 1 or greater in Comtech means that you're kind of a technology generalist, almost like having a master's in engineering or something, where you can figure things out, where somebody who's specifically trained wouldn't be able to, specifically trained to just a device. So, yeah, okay, I'll take
Yeah.
that one then. If that's okay. Remote.
It's like me. I can build a computer, no problem. I know jack about software.
Yeah, yeah, right. Yeah, me too. Okay, so it costs 6 points or 5 points for
5.
5. Excellent.
All right, that'll work. All right. Pull up the old PDF. The crew comes out of cryo. It's it's something you've done. It feels like a million times here over the last coming up on a year since you guys first set out from Arcturus on your original survey missions. And it's, with the exception of the knowledge of where you're headed and the lack of knowledge of what you're headed into, it's very much, it's very much more of the same. But it's that looming unknown that, as you're coming to consciousness, that's probably bothering you all quite a bit. But yeah, everyone comes out of cryo. The From what you can tell, just being there, the looks like everything is on course. You have entered the Vorach system, or Vorach system, Vorach, and Apollo has dropped you guys out of FTL as you are moving in. Obviously, there's some gravity wells here. Beyond that, it's where everybody's off to and what everybody wants to do. I think Rudy would get up. Well, Rudy's been up, so Rudy's doing her thing. So I would say she's there as everybody's coming out of cryo to make sure everybody's good. But once everybody's up and running, she's going to head to the bridge. I'm sure that would make the most sense. I think.
Right, and just forgive me, I've got brain fog.
All good.
We sorry, I think you just said it, but we just arrived at which place?
The system is the Vorach system,
Right. Okay.
but on the map it was the intersecting lines that the tachyon surges seem to be leading towards.
Got it. So we're investigating that. We did the info dump to the to the world about what we had, right? And
Correct.
it started all kinds of.
Yeah, how far that's gone at this point? You guys have been gone almost 2 months since you did that. So exactly what's going on with all that, you don't know, obviously, because you're way past network connectivity out here.
Okay.
You won't know
Yes.
till you return.
Right.
You should actually.
Well, I'm gonna head off to do my maintenance, but before I do, so I just want to check. I want to check with the nav guys, so we're definitely where we're supposed to be.
Yeah, Tansy. Tansy would speak up. She's your pilot, right?
Right?
Tansy, that's her name.
That's her
Yeah,
name.
Tansy Annalise. She pipes up that we're definitely in the Vorach system. It looks like the coordinates are spot on.
Okie doke.
All right. I think Rose Whitehill, in absence of Verhoeven, kind of views herself in charge and heads over to the bridge. Dr. Jake Sinclair, what would you like to be doing, sir?
Jake will get his slippers, and then he'll go get his coffee. And if nobody's screaming in fear and terror from the bridge, he'll just go sit in his bed and mull over some coffee while he shakes off cryo sleep.
All right. Very good. Very good. So we'll move him over to the galley. Dwayne Hicks, what's Hicks up to?
I'm going to wander up to the bridge to see
All right.
what's going on.
And I think Ripley and Newt would head that way as well. I don't think Ripley would have much else, and Newt's certainly staying with her. So everybody's on the bridge except you guys. Dwayne Dunning had one heck of a heavy machinery roll with 2 stunts. It obviously maintenance takes a shift of work. What would you like to do with your 2 stunts?
Well, one to do it in half the time,
Very good.
and then the other one I'll just bank for future maintenance.
Sounds good. That's fine. Your next maintenance roll will be free then. Man, I'm sorry. My phone is going crazy here. Okay. DHL, I've got a shipment coming, and every time they update me, they send me both a text message and an email. It's like, guys, just one.
Make up your mind.
Yeah, one will do. Thank you. All right. Let's see here. So what's the plan, guys? I think Rudy is going to want somebody to do a scan of the system and see what we're dealing with.
Yeah, that's what I'm waiting on to see.
I would have suggested that if I was on the bridge, but I'm not. We have the ship with all these great sensors. Let's use them.
Right. All right. Is that
Who's
Dr.
going to do this?
Sinclair? Is that going to be your thing?
Who's got all the Comtech dice?
The guy sitting drinking coffee in his lab.
Yeah, well, he should get to work, would you?
+2, I take it.
Yep. +2 from the sensors. Oh, don't forget, you guys do have a -1 on a lot of your ship-based rolls because you've got that minor component damage. What was it? It was I mean, it doesn't matter if I take off the last die there, you still have 2 successes. I think it was something wrong with Apollo. All ship-based Comtech and piloting rolls are -1. We'll have to remember that. Very good, but that's fine. You have 2 successes. So, in terms of the basic information, the Vorach system, it's relatively large. It's 13 planets, but most of them are frozen terrestrial, balls of ice.
So does it have a Goldilocks zone?
It has 1 habitable planet. It's terrestrial with an atmosphere, and based on the sun and its distance, it's probably the best bet for terrestrial based life. It is Vorach 5. It's the 5th planet in the system. What would you like to do with your extra success?
Give me extra information.
Yeah, new and unexpected information. The best thing ever. It's what grabs your attention, and you pick it up, and it makes sense that you would know to scan for this because of what you're here looking for. After all, there is the remains of a tachyon buildup near Planet 5. It looks like it's in the process of decaying. So, some time ago, someone either came or someone either left. One of the two.
Guess we're at the right place, boys.
Any way to scan for structures or
When you move in on the planet, if that's what you want to do, if you want to move in on the planet, I would certainly allow you to do that. Sure. Um,
well, it's about my pay grade doesn't tell the pilot to do that. So Rudy, I'm assuming Rudy would.
yeah, we'll handle such decisions kind of on a crew consensus since Rudy's not here. If that's what you guys all seems to make sense, then that's what Rudy will do. She'll order Tansy to move the ship in, which will take a few hours. Obviously, you're in sublight, so which gives Dwayne time to do his maintenance and whatnot. Oh, you know what? There does need to be an electronics maintenance since Jake was scanning. We'll let Roman do the electronic maintenance because he is there. He's on board the ship after all.
We keep forgetting about him.
We do keep forgetting about him.
How did he look when he came out of cryo?
He's actually still doing. Is that right? 7 dice? Yeah, 7 dice -1 for the computer. So it's going to take him a full 6 hours. He's still doing very well. He's really not having the effects that he was dealing with because I mean, chronologically speaking, from his disease, chronologically speaking, since he received his treatment, what's it been? A week? 10 days? You most of the it's been months, but it's been months in cryo.
Right.
So he's feeling fairly well. He's doing all right. So he'll be doing electronics maintenance on the ship while you guys are. So Tansy is piloting the ship in. It's going to take a few hours, which is fine. That gives Dwayne time to Dunning time to figure out or finish up his maintenance. As you're moving in, one of the sensors panel actually starts to ping. It looks like the sensors have automatically picked something up, and in fact, there's an incoming communication as well. And Tansy says, there's a ship coming around from the other side of the planet. UA registry, USS Magellan. And like I said, someone's pinging your communications.
Yeah, boy. Okay. And so they see us. We don't have our fraudulent
No,
IFF.
we're the Magellan, and we're doing some
Surveys.
routine exploration, right?
Yeah.
That's our story, and we're sticking to it.
So you can actually see the ship now. It's big. It's and there's no mistaking the most iconic vessel in the alien universe. It's definitely a Conestoga class frigate, which you've run across USS Mahan before, anyhow.
Yeah. Hold it. I can't remember, guys. Did we run across them as us, the Magellan, or did we run across them as our alter egos.
You ran across them as the Wayland Yutani vessel.
Right.
STSV, I think it was Meredith. I believe it
Yes.
was Meredith. Yep.
So if I remember right, Rudy did all the talking then. I suggest that we have somebody else do the talking this time. Because we might look familiar to them, but they never boarded us, they never saw us, they never talked to us, they don't have any knowledge that we were that other ship. So we just need to act like we're a science vessel doing scans of systems. I can't even remember what our registry. God, we keep flipping all over the place. We're not a WAU ship, right? We're not a UA ship. What are we? Are we?
You're UA registry, but you're private. You're not
We're private
you're not
UA
part of the
registry, but
military.
private,
Yeah,
right?
you're just an SS.
All right. Uh, you know, we can't stonewall these guys.
Yeah, they can't see me because I
Holy
can't be seen by anybody in the Marines. They
well,
don't know who I am.
and Rudy already talked to them. We don't want Rudy to talk to them.
Rose shrugs and says, "Do you want me to answer it?"
Is there any way they know who you are? I'd say, okay, you or Tansy. All right, Rose. Well, Rose, you've got a lot of experience. You've got a lot of experience, sweet talking people. Let's let you have a try.
All right. So she opens up the incoming channel, and a voice cuts in. It sounds like it cuts in mid sentence. Magellan, this is Lieutenant Colonel Price, USCMC, and as you guys are watching, you actually see it looks like a couple of Cheyenne dropships are dropping out of Mayhan towards the planet. And he says, Magellan, is Captain Rudy there? Captain Rudat, I should say. And Rose kind of shrugs at Rudy and says, well, Rudy, because you guys have met Lieutenant Colonel Price way back in Arcturus, back in the very beginning.
When we were Magellan.
When you were Magellan, right? The first time from when you came back from your first mission.
You're right.
And he's the commander of the 31st MAU that's stationed at Arcturus.
We keep running into these guys. How do they manage to be everywhere?
Well, Conestogas are very fast.
I know, but I mean, it's a lot of space. It's a big.
It means we're on the right track for what we're looking to find, because they're chasing it too, right?
It seems like it.
So
Yeah.
Rudat, Rose kind of shrugs it at Rudy, and Rudy picks up and says, "This is Captain Annika Rudat," and the communications is very crackly. It's very staticky because obviously he's starting to drop down into atmosphere. At least you assume. He says, "This is Lieutenant Colonel Price again, Captain Rudat. If your crew would please stand down, heave to, prepare to dock with my ship Mayhan. Lieutenant there will fill you in, but your crew has done excellent work. You've given us everything we need to lead us to these bombers, which are down on board, on planet. We're going to take care of this ourselves now." And just as he says that, Tansy says, in her Irish accent, which I can't duplicate. Oh shit, what the hell is that? And she's pointing out the front glass of the ship. And as this happens, you guys all look, and I'm going to give you a picture. It, you know, silhouetted against the glow of the planet, you know, reflecting the sun, um, something just appears that wasn't there. It's big. It's about the size of. It's not the size of a Conestoga. Conestogas are the largest class ship in existence. You know, they're 900 meters long, give or take. This is probably about the size of an M-class ship. And there it is. Nothing any of you have ever seen before. But it literally appears just out of nowhere. And Price says, one moment, and he disconnects from your channel. And Conestoga, or Mahan rather, as it's coming around, this ship, this alien vessel, seems to be moving in rather close, and then a point of light starts to glow just right underneath it. And then a giant blue-white beam lances out from this alien vessel.
Blue white. Did you say beam?
Beam.
Like, beam. Okay.
Yeah.
Blue white. Okay.
It looks similar to not a particle beam, because the USCMC's got particle beams. They use them for point defense. This is more of a. This looks more like the heavy plasma weapons that you've seen a certain alien species use, the likes of which that Ripley has one. And this thing strikes the Mahan amidships and literally just cleaves it right in half. There's not much small debris, amazingly, but maybe it was mostly vaporized. You're not sure. The fore, the bow of the ship starts spiraling towards the planet, whereas the aft section, where the drive system continues basically in orbit, even though it doesn't seem like the drive system's probably working anymore. But you know, it's going to stay there unless it's acted on some other way. Your sensors panel pings. Apollo is picking up that you guys are being scanned by that ship, and it almost seems to turn towards you for just a moment. And then it rolls over so that the underbelly of the ship is actually facing the planet. And there's maybe a half dozen bursts of light as it fires 6 objects down into the atmosphere. And then it seems to go about its way and disappear. It's gone. Price comes up on your communications again. It's really broken up. It's breaking in and out. You know, Magellan. You know, lost contact. Need assistance. And then that's it. It goes. He's probably too far in the atmosphere at this point.
Can we tell if their ships continue going down
Oh
to
yeah,
the planet?
they're in combat drop. They're on their way down. They can't do anything. They really can't do anything until they get down into the lower atmosphere, at which point they could turn around and come back. Cheyennes are space-worthy vessels, but they don't have FTL, obviously.
Did, would I know that they would know what just happened to the Mayhem?
You know, it would seem likely. You got the sense that when Price kind of put you guys on hold, that he was probably communicating with Mahan. It seems safe to assume that he knows that something happened to it. May not know specifically.
How many people serve on a Conestoga class?
Believe it or not, not very many. It's generally equipped. Well, it depends on the mother system on the ship. It's generally equipped with a full platoon of Marines, including officer, and then if it has an advanced mother system, it doesn't have anybody else on board really. The mother handles everything. If it is an older ship, it'll have a flight crew, usually consisting of a captain, half dozen officers, and some technical staff. So up to 20 in that instance, besides the Marines.
Um, Guys, this is just a suggestion, but obviously we have to help these guys out. We need to go in close to the ship and see if there's anyone there who needs assistance, because they're not going to have life support for very long. The guys going down on the planet would be second priority. I'm assuming that they're set up to survive on the planet because they were going to do whatever op they were going to do. They're set up to survive for a while. I don't know if there's anyone on their ship that. Well, I don't know. We saw it cut in half. I don't know if there are compartments with life support or not. How people are handling it. There's nothing we can do about the bow. It's going down. It's going to burn up in the atmosphere.
Yeah, it's starting to glow.
What do you think, Rudy? We can't just sit here and do nothing.
Do I know my character? Does he know if there's space tight hatches like in the aft?
Yeah, there definitely would be.
There's probably people in those hatches.
Yeah, if people acted quickly enough, that type of thing. I will ask Hicks. I will ask you to do an observation roll.
Will do.
And I'll make.
Let's see.
Explain why in a moment.
Well, while he's doing his observation roll, they might have emergency. They should have emergency power on that ship somewhere. Tansy, try and contact them. See what you can. See if anyone answers. All right. What were the results of the roll?
2 successes on 4 dice.
Holy mackerel! Look at you.
Yeah.
So
time.
You, despite your bad eye, got a really good look at the objects fired from the alien ship, and you got the distinct impression that they are extremely similar to the drop pods that were invented for the USCMC and 3WE by Wayland Yutani back in the 2150s. The drop pod is they're not used very often because it's typically if you're sending in the Marines, you're going to send in a platoon, so you're going to send in a drop ship, But drop pods are typically used for an insertion of smaller size. If you're dropping in a handful of special ops guys, they can be from ships that are outfitted with them. They can be fired from those ships through the atmosphere, where they'll land planet side, and then the guys can go about their operation.
So the Mercer used drop pods instead of drop ships?
What's that?
The Mercer did that?
No, Mahan. No, the Mahan.
Mayhem, I
used-
mean.
Yeah, no, Mahan used dropships. Actually, launched 2 dropships. What
Oh,
Hicks
the
saw?
Phantom ship. Oh,
Yeah, what
Yeah.
Hicks
So what the
saw.
hell is human tech doing
that's weird.
on an alien ship?
All right. That's what confused me. The human tech coming out of the alien. All right.
Yeah, they're very similar in appearance. That really kind of it definitely drew Hicks's attention.
Yeah, what the hell? And it's from decades ago, right?
Yeah, they were invented back in the 2150s.
Yeah,
They're still
this-
used mostly by special ops. They're rarely used by the Marine Corps direct, by the primary Marine Corps.
I couldn't tell if they were actual pods by any markings or.
No, I would
they-
say not at how quickly they move and at the distance.
Okay.
It's just kind of a glimpse or a flash that struck you is the best way to put it.
Drop pods carry people, right, guys? So,
But they carry individuals. I don't know. I mean, maybe
well, that's what I
there's
mean.
different size of person.
Yeah, whatever. But they,
Yeah.
so they've inserted some of their folks onto the planet. So our guys on the planet are going to be in danger, but also that means that big ass ship is going to come back eventually to pick these dudes up, don't you think?
Well, I think it just cloaked and it's still sitting there laughing at us.
Oh, well, we have no weapons on this ship, thank goodness.
Tansy says there's no response from Mahan.
Okay.
I'd say scan Mayhem for life, recover, and consider it a lost cause.
All right.
Come back in the week.
Do you want to do that scan, Jake?
Sure.
+2 for the sensors, -1 because the ship is damaged because Apollo's messed up.
And +1 for somebody helping me.
Yeah, that's fine. Absolutely. Sure. Perfect. So 2 successes. So specifically, as far as scanning Mahan is concerned, there is nothing to indicate that there is anyone on board. What's left of it, or at least no one alive. There's certain parts of the ship that do have power. But the engines are down, the main reactors are down, but there is nothing to indicate anyone alive on board. What do you want to do with your bonus success?
Let's hide our. Can we use hideout tracks to try and get the scan done stealthily so the other ship doesn't see it?
Yeah, I'll let you do that. Absolutely.
And I'll just turn around to the rest and say, well, shrug and say, I don't see any life signs. Looks like they got them all, so to speak. My suggestion is to get the heck out of Dodge. Come back in a week. See what's left.
We can't leave those UA guys down on the surface.
Yeah, we
Can
can.
we? Yeah, but
Are
so
you,
then our mission was to come here and find out what we could about this system.
yes, we found out what we could. We found out they are very,
We found
very.
out nothing.
Yeah. Well, personally, I found out that there are very, very big unidentified alien guns that can cut the Mayhem in two, lazing around here, just waiting for us to be the irritating fly on their windscreen. I'm sorry, I'm not a special operations team. Me, scientist. So yes.
Rose. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead and talk. If you guys have it, go ahead and I got something for you, but continue your discussion.
I mean, I was just going to add that maybe we can do both. Whatever went down to meet the drop ships is going to be occupied for a little while. We can use that as an opportunity to learn what we can, and if there's a chance to mitigate their certain demise, maybe we can do that as well. We have to be very careful, though. That's my 2 cents, anyway.
Rose says, "Well, Dr. Sinclair, you are a scientist. You're absolutely right, and maybe this'll pique your interest. I just did a scan in the direction that those objects were fired, and based on the course that the Cheyennes were taking in their drop, this planet looks like it's perfectly habitable, but there is a refined metallic mass down there of unknown alloy and unknown origin. Does that pique your scientific interest any?"
It peaks it a lot, but the seem to be active war zone peaks it even more. I'm sorry, but I'm not quite that suicidal yet. And self-preservation does, jump up and raises its warning bells.
Well, we do have a shuttle, and I don't want to necessarily bring everybody down there, including Ripley and Newt, for safety's sake. But we do have a shuttle.
How many people does the shuttle hold? I can't remember.
That is a very, very valid question. Hold on one moment. Let me get you an answer to that. Because it has been a long time since we have discussed your.
Because the UA guys took a drop ship, which means they've got a fair number of people.
Yeah, probably at least a full platoon. It would seem to stand to reason.
Yeah.
And to just to bring up, I can remote pilot those now.
That's also true. Let's see here. I think it's in the ships section. There we go. Because you guys, it's the Class D lifeboat module. Is that what it's called? Who's got the ship on their character sheet? Oh, that was Max Decker, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think I got it here. Let me look it up. It's the Magellan main deck. Would it be on ship stores?
No, it's on the actual ship sheet, which I think was on Max Decker's.
Oh, the actual ship sheet. No, I got characters. I got Apollo. I don't actually have a sheet for it. I don't think.
Hold on, I'll find it. I will find it. There we go. So yes, it's a Class D Lifeboat 3. The Class D Lifeboat module is an ejectable module built with high-end FTL for a high-end FTL spacecraft. It's maneuverable, hence why it's basically a shuttle. The module has 7 rooms that can be configured as necessary, ranging from yada 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 yada. It supports 3 active occupants for 2 years and up to 20 people in cryosleep. So, in other words, it's got plenty of room in it. You can cram plenty of people down in it. It's not a question.
Excuse me.
No problem. No problem.
All right. I like where your thoughts are heading on this.
And we could park Magellan on the other side of the planet and use the shuttle to come in below orbit to on an approach, so that we aren't necessarily spotted coming in from here.
Keeping in mind one thing, the lifeboat is not worthy of making planetfall on its own.
No, okay.
So the
but it does
have to make planetfall and then
got
release the shuttle.
Then the shuttle, it has FTL though, right?
It does.
Right. Okay. Well, then the shuttle becomes our stay behind, I guess, and then we bring Magellan down. But I would say,
no, hold it. I thought, Marty, you just said that Magellan could make planetfall, but then we could use the shuttle
Yeah,
hops?
the shuttle just can't enter the atmosphere in and of itself. It doesn't have planetfall capacity.
It's not made. Yeah, it's
It's
not
not
made to
made to do
handle the
that.
heat.
Correct. Exactly.
Right.
So you would bring Magellan into the atmosphere,
Right.
and then let anybody off on the lifeboat that you wanted. The lifeboat could leave the planet by itself, and it can even has limited FTL capability. It just can't enter the atmosphere on its own.
We could even have the Magellan enter the atmosphere but not land and let the lifeboat go, and then Magellan could go back into orbit. We have options.
That is true. That's another, and that might be preferred method, except for if we want to land Magellan.
Right.
We would be able to use the tractor then to make the approach instead of keep it far enough away so that it'll probably be spotted anyway. I would imagine. We don't know kind of tech those things that went down have, but that's probably the best we can do. Is we just have to decide whether we're going to land.
So what I'm hearing is while there's an alien vessel that can cut big ships in half in orbit, you want to test its patience and try and land and see if that's going to blow us up.
If you want to put it that way. But I would say, go to the other side of the planet so you've got, you don't have line of sight. I'm assuming that their sensors work like our sensors. We don't know where it's at, though. That's the other question. It could be sitting there. It could be on the other side where we go. I don't know.
Rose asked, have any of you ever seen a ship like that before, or that type of weaponry?
I think we've seen hints of it.
She says, I think it stands to reason that was a Yautja ship. They scanned us.
Right.
They could have destroyed us right then and there.
It's true.
And they just left.
So why did they leave? It's because we would not be a threat to them.
We're not a threat to them.
Okay? But they destroyed the Mahan because it was a perceived threat.
It's a heavily armed ship.
Yes.
Okay? So we're starting to see a pattern here that, Rose, you must have discussed with Verhoeven. You must have discussed something about these Yautja guys. It appears that if they perceive you as a threat, they attack you. Almost seems like an honor-bound thing. If they don't perceive you as a threat, they tend to leave you alone. But what does surprise me is so far, maybe it's just been coincidence every time, but so far, every time we run into these xenomorphs, or what we understand now also to be related to them or controlling them, these engineer guys, the Yautja have attacked them and mostly ignored us, although they have waded through a lot of humans to get to those guys. So if they've predominantly been after the engineers and the xenomorphs, why on this occasion, if they're coming in to do their thing, why on this occasion destroy the Mayhem?
So, because we're not expert alien psychologists, who knows?
Yeah, we don't know.
Maybe they preempted swatting a fly. Yeah.
Or maybe there's something down there they don't want the USCMC to have.
Yes, and
Maybe.
if we land in,
That could be, or it could also just be that they don't want to spend any time figuring out anyone's intentions. If it's a threat, just take it out and then it's done with.
Okay, maybe out of game again. I got a little bit of brain fog, whatever I'm coming down with. What was our stated intention? What's our motivation for coming to we already did the data dump to the network, right? Are we still looking for hard evidence besides what we have in our cryo chamber?
Partially, but also you guys had done some math to determine that you believe the engineer ships use some sort of tachyon shunt drive system, and which you can do the math and the computations to track courses is what it amounts to, as long as the tachyon field is there long enough for you to do so with. And
Right.
that gave you the intersecting lines from two different systems that came to Vorach. Um, so that's you're
So our
hoping to figure out if it is an engineer ship, if it isn't an engineer, and who's bombing, et cetera, et cetera.
right,
Got
we were. The idea was, if on more than one occasion the ship had, it appeared, had gone to or originated from this location, we wanted to verify that. And obviously, we're in our little ship with our little guys. We're not necessarily in a position to take out the engineers. They seem way more powerful than us. But what we're going to do is try and collect enough information we could verify that the ship was here, or verify that this was maybe a planet with engineers on it that originated the ship. And then we could take that information back and let the UA, and frankly, all of them, UA, 3WE, UPP, let them all figure out how to take care of it, because it's a threat to humans. So that was, we weren't necessarily coming in to attack anything. We were here to figure out what we could and try and verify this was where they came from.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, you're. So what you're saying is, our motivation was to find an engineer planet.
Well, just, or to figure out if this was if this really was the origin of those
Got
engineered
it.
ships.
Okay. That reminds me. Okay. Yeah.
Okay,
Thanks for that
but
reminder.
now we've changed a little bit. Now we've had a UA ship cut in half, and there's a bunch of Marines on the planet with no way off.
Right.
I mean, they could get off the planet, but they can't go very far.
Right.
In their drop ships. So the question is, do we hang out waiting for them to try and come up, or do we go get them? The other thing is, theoretically, now here we are having all this discussion, time is passing, but theoretically,
Just a few
when
minutes.
they dissipate the heat and the ion buildup from entry, we should be able to establish communications again, and try and see what their intentions are on the drop ship, because maybe we could get the drop ship to come back up to us. With all the static and everything, I'm not sure if it was from the ionization during reentry. Reentry is the wrong word, entry, because they didn't originate there, so it can't be re. So they or it could simply be some characteristics of the atmosphere. So to contact them, we might have to dip in below into the atmosphere to contact them, because now that their ship's blown up, do they necessarily want to try and carry out any kind of mission? Or do they just want to get the heck off? We should encourage them to let us pick them up and take them off, rather than get in the middle of this. What do you guys think? The clock is ticking.
Well, presumably
How long does it take to? It takes several hours to make planet fall properly, right?
For a ship like yours, it takes a shift.
right.
Drop ships and drop pods are a little different because obviously they're for combat insertions. But
In a pod will probably make it there before a drop ship, I would imagine, right?
yes,
Because it's more streamlined. So, right, okay. So, based on what Dwayne Marty, and, that reasoning, I don't know, Bob, you do you agree with that line of reasoning? Because if so, then I guess our first priority is establish combo right now, since it'll take us what, a shift being 8 hours,
Well,
6.
6 hours to get down there to do anything if we were going to go down there.
I
Might be
guess-
over by then.
I just think that the ship was, or the Marines were probably on their way to embargo and confiscate everything we have and potentially put us in jail. So having them back up here might be a sticky situation for us. And again, as I said, we are not a military vessel. If we can send them a message saying, big aliens on their way to kill you, come back up, and they agree to leave their weapons behind, I'm all for, helping get them out of here. But if not, I'd say come back in a week. At the end of the day, I'm a scientist. I'm not a special operations soldier. And that's the war zone.
If we don't provide all reasonable aid, then we will become a pariah everywhere we go.
Right. Okay, let's take it to the extreme. Let's say that somehow everybody on those 2 drop ships survives. We can't go to FDL with everybody on board.
But but also, why would you say we would be a pariah?
Because we just witnessed a hostile act to destroy a ship, and we are required to provide reasonable assistance. Now, we could argue it's unreasonable for us to get into a battle zone because we are not warriors,
Correct.
okay?
Yeah.
But we at least have to make the attempt to convince them to abort their mission and come back.
I fully disagree there. We are a civilian vessel. We have there's no expectation of a civilian vessel to shove their nose into a war zone, or even worse, a black operations scenario. If this was a civilian vessel, traders, and they could get to us, but even then, no ship would be expected, even in the old days, would be expected to assist while there are active combatants in the area. Not even an EMT would be expected to lend aid and offer support while there's a threat to their life. Put it that way.
I get both points. I guess let's look at this in like you said, olden times. Say there was a merchant vessel that was approaching the shore of some shore in Africa, and they spot a raging battle between 2 foreign navies, and then one ship sank, and then survivors make it to the shore, but there's a battle there. Would it be reasonable to have a merchant vessel stick their nose into that in, like, say, the 1890s? I don't know that they would, to be honest. I mean, we've got more capability, certainly. We've got Hicks and myself, and myself being Hicks, and one other security set specialist.
2.
But that 2 more security specialists, so 3 combatants,
and the Man of Steel himself, Dwayne Dunning.
Yeah,
right?
Dwayne's an ex-Marine.
Yeah. Oh, is he? Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Okay, I didn't know that he was an ex-Marine. So again, above my character's pay grade, but logically we're torn here because I think we could come back in a week, but that abandoning without even sending him a message, is that what you think's the best course, Bob?
I'm all for sending them a message,
Or
but I wouldn't necessarily drop down into the atmosphere to send it.
Well, and so we can't. It's kind of a moot point right now. If we just decide to barrel in there and drop down right on the site, it's going to take us 4 hours to get there anyway. Whatever's going on is going to be over. So, my vote is for trying to establish communication and find out as much about what's going on, to include what kind of battle is going on, so that we have that information. Maybe even video feeds, anything. I mean,
Well, I
yeah.
think no matter what, we have to try and establish communication.
Yeah, so let's do that first and see how it develops. The rest of it we can decide as it develops, because we're running out of time here. Those
All right,
pods are
well,
going to hit the ground.
and I think we need some other inputs, because even if we have to dip in the atmosphere, let's say we're not going to land. We're just going to go in the atmosphere to try and get better communications and try and convince them to come back up and meet us to go home.
If you
Hold on, let me finish. Let's just say we would do that. We are putting the ship in danger because we don't know what kind of armaments might exist on the surface of the guys we came here in the first place to check out. So we're putting everyone on the Magellan at risk. So we need some input. We need Rudy to weigh in. We need Andy to weigh in. We need Ripley to weigh in. We need these folks to weigh in, and we still don't know. Rose hasn't made a position one way or the other. So everyone needs to weigh in. If we can't communicate with them from where we are, that's when we really need the input of everybody before we decide what to do next. So I would say Zanzi should try and start communicating. The question is, they have to do a controlled entry, right? They can't just plummet into the planet. It takes most of a shift to make landfall or planetfall. But at what point is the ionization low enough that we can communicate? How long is that? So all this discussion, all this argument can't but have been a short time.
A few minutes.
So theoretically, we wouldn't be able to communicate with them at the moment anyway, right?
Yeah, I'm figuring. I mean, this conversation's basically happening in real time. So yeah.
Yeah. So if it takes 6 hours to make planetfall, it probably takes 2 or 3 hours to. Well, I don't know. I don't know if the problems talking to them, the static, was due to some characteristics of the atmosphere, or if it's due to ionization buildup on the drop ship as it was trying to land. It's got to shed a lot of velocity before it can land. So I don't know those details. So I'd say, how long should we try and contact them?
I mean, Hicks would know, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so-
Hicks would definitely know. You would probably, it doesn't take a lot of time for a Cheyenne class dropship to make it through the atmosphere, and for all that to occur, you're probably talking about a space of 15 to 20 minutes before you've got radio contact with them, assuming it's not an atmospheric thing.
All right, so if
assuming
it's
you
not
have line of sight.
So if it's not an atmospheric thing, in another 5 minutes or so, we should start trying to contact them and keep that up for 20 or 30 minutes, and see if we can get hooked up with them.
Yeah, and I would also say, I don't know, we've got passive sensors on here, but if there's a way to actively scan, the near regions, and just have somebody on that all the time while this is happening. We don't want anything sneaking up on us.
By the way, while we've been doing these discussions and we were coming into the system and into the planet, have we even gone into orbit yet?
I would say at this point you're about to enter orbit, or very close to it.
All right. Well, all right. I think that's the deal. I think we need to try and contact them and see and try and strongly emphasize that they need to abort whatever mission they were planning and come back to us so that we can take them home. Let's try that. Let's get Tansy on the comms and start calling. and then we'll decide. If we can't raise them, then we'll decide what's next. But when we make that decision, everyone's got to chime in and tell us what they want to do, because the next move after that, everybody would be put in some kind of danger, even if the Magellan doesn't land.
All right. All right. So that's the plan then. Try to make contact and go from there. All right. So, you know, using Dwayne Hicks as a sorry, my brain. I'm having brain fog problems. Using Dwayne Hicks's experience to help guide her. You know, after a few minutes, Tansy starts to open up communications. She's sending calls out on an open channel to Lieutenant Colonel Price. And yeah, after a few minutes, you get an answer. This is Lieutenant Colonel Price. Is this SS Magellan? Tansy says affirmative. Colonel Price says we've lost contact with Mahan. What happened up there? So Tansy explains what you guys all saw, unless you don't want her to. I assume someone
Oh yeah, she needs
would
to
give
tell
her
him.
the nod. He says, Mahan, our ships don't have FTL. We're circling a landing zone. There is an alien vessel here on top of seems to have landed on a sort of plateau. And there is a cave complex. We're landing nearby. We need you to stay nearby to provide assistance.
Did Tansy told him about the drop pods, right?
Oh, yeah, I had forgotten that part. So,
and a description of them.
Yeah, so at that point, we can have Tansy explain that to him. Price gets very quiet for a moment, and
does Price what information does Price have? Well, we can ask him. I'll just say, Tansy, does Price understand who these Yautja might be and what they did to his ship? That we think Yautja are in those pods.
Price replies, "Well, that we've got all the best firepower. We can handle a few of them, I'm sure."
Famous last words.
We don't fall under their military jurisdiction, right?
Technically not. You guys are a UA vessel. Your private registry, so I mean, I'm sure there's some allowances in the law for a military vessel to commandeer you guys and get you to do what they need you to do.
Well, it would be similar to, say, America trying to commandeer and tell a civilian Brit what to do. Well, there is no authority there other than the big guns.
Well, let's be clear. If you dig deep enough, there's an ordinance in almost every single city that allows a policeman to commandeer a private citizen's vehicle anytime they want, if they have just cause.
Yeah, but first of all, the military do not have any civilian jurisdiction. That's loud and clear in the law, and these are not policemen. So,
well, there might be something with maritime law out here.
So that's a question. Can another country's navy, require anything from us officially? Because he's trying to dictate to us because he's military, fair enough. But as far as I understand it, we don't need to listen to him at all because we don't fall under his country or his allegiance, umbrella or whatever you want to call it.
Well, he is USCMC, and you guys are a UA ship. I am sure that there's definitely some allowance that would allow him to, like for instance, before when you guys ran across the USS Mahan, you were under a fake transponder as a 3WE civilian ship, and that was definitely an instance where they have no jurisdiction whatsoever, because that would be like a U.S. Navy ship, commandeering a freighter or a tanker from another country, right? In this case, because you are under the same government, you're under UA. I would say there's got to be something there that allows him to do this, but whether or not you guys listen's a whole different issue. I mean, obviously, that's um, I'm sure there's something he can invoke requiring, reasonable cooperation, especially in an emergent situation. Um, of course, he's also just told you that he's got enough firepower to handle anything. So,
Yeah, well, I can't know what tech he's using, but our experience is that he has no idea what he's dealing with, and that it's a huge mistake to get into basically what is shaping up to be a three-way confrontation.
hey,
But
Everyone's shooting in every direction all the time. It's just a really bad idea. We should re-emphasize. Tansy, Rudy, if you want to get on there, re-emphasize that our experience is that he's making a mistake and he should abort his mission.
yeah, I would suggest telling him we will hang around here for 2 days in orbit, then we're gone. Don't care what he says.
hey, just remember these colonial marines are pretty tough hombres, isn't that right, Lieutenant Gorman?
Yes, we were trained for this kind of situation.
Um, I I'm generally going to avoid having the NPCs make decisions, because I don't want to railroad the game, as it were. But in terms of their positions on things, Rose, I believe, um, is all for not just sticking around. I don't think she's actually all for sticking around to help the Marines. She's about investigation, because this feels like, to her and to SSI, probably the culmination of what they've been working towards, if that makes sense. Um, Whatever's down there on that planet is probably everything they've been looking for. She's convinced that if there's anything that can save Verhoeven at this point, it's going to be engineer technology on some level. And if there's an engineer ship down there, she wants a part of it. Um, and I think that Dr. Khan is on board with that. Again, this is what they've been working towards for years. Now, I'm not going to use them to dictate what you guys do. Rudy wants what's best for the crew. She doesn't want to put the crew in any undue dire circumstances. On the other hand, she's got kind of a commitment to mankind as a whole, uh, which is what's led you guys to this. Obviously there's a bad actor bombing colonies, and they don't care who the colonies belong to. So I don't think she's quite as invested as going down there as Rose is, but I think she would definitely want more answers in this situation. Um, it's too bad Verhoeven's not here. Um, Rose, I do think Rose would put forth that we do have two security personnel on board, uh, as well as Hicks, and that your crew has shown itself to be extraordinarily capable in all sorts of situations. She has absolutely no doubt that if you guys were to go down there and recover whatever SSI needs in terms of further proof and technology and everything else, that Verhoeven would certainly pay whatever's necessary for that to happen. I don't think money's an object at this point. So if there's any interest there, that's certainly there as well. Ripley, I gotta think Ripley's motivate. I've been thinking about this for a while, and I haven't quite come to a conclusion. Ripley's motivations are definitely. On one hand, she doesn't want to be anywhere near this, and she doesn't want Newt anywhere near this. I think that's where her primary motivation is. But at the same time, um, you guys have already taken what you hope are the steps to blow this open in terms of public knowledge. Um, but everything that you guys have personally discovered over the last 6 months or close to a year indicates that even if you blow this all open publicly, from the standpoint of Wayland Yutani's involvement, the XX121, various experiments, that type of thing, it still doesn't solve what you guys have probably started to realize is an engineer problem, um, and perhaps even a Yautja problem. Now, of course, Magellan's not armed, so her general rule of thumb of to nuke the site from orbit, it's the only way to be sure, doesn't work because you guys don't have nukes. Not to mention, she's probably not completely blasé about nuking a bunch of colonial marines. That she is very much a humanist, and they are people. So I think she would want to offer them aid within reason, but not to the extent that it puts Newt in danger. So asking the NPCs to weigh in, that's kind of where I think that's where they're standing on things.
All right.
So you guys inform Price that he doesn't know what he's getting into, and his reply is, Magellan, your crew, Captain Rudat, I'm assuming you're still there. Your crew has done amazing things, but we are professionals, and I have studied this xenomorph, and there's a lot of data out there, especially thanks to what you guys have done 2 months ago. You're not the only crew of people that are capable of connecting dots and drawing lines. And fortunately, our ship is much faster than yours, which is why we got here just before you.
Cocky motherfucker, isn't he?
Is that the ship that was blown up? Which ship?
Hold on, give me 1 second. I'm sorry.
Yeah, which ship? The one that just got sliced in half.
Yeah, well,
Superior firepower really worked out well there.
We could hang around until he's chewed up badly enough that he begs us to. They bug out.
Be a day or two.
He might reach a point where after he's lost enough guys and gotten nowhere that they jump back on their drop ship and come up and we can take them out of here.
well, about that, Price says, SS Magellan, we're about to land and deploy. Uh, please stay on station. We'll be reaching out to you shortly. And just as he finishes saying that, there is a deafening explosion and crackle of high pitched noise throughout to the extent that it almost deafens you guys. And Tansy kind of mutes the speakers for a moment as it passes. Um, and Price starts, and then she unmutes it just for a moment, and you hear Price's voice. He's not panicked by any means. He's very calm about it, but he states, Magellan, we've been struck by weapons fire. We're making an emergency landing near the alien vessel and the cave complex. We're going to need evac. I will contact you when that comes. We still have a job to do.
2 days, Price. 2 days.
Yep.
Tansy says, she kind of turns to you guys and says, do I take us in, or are we staying in orbit?
I say orbit,
Well, if we go
especially
in,
since you still have things to do.
if we go in, aren't we going to get shot with the same? Aren't we going to get shot at too?
If they identify us as a threat the same way they did in
But-
orbit, I suppose.
Well, now he's in a situation where out of game we have a MacGuffin, the same old MacGuffin. Back in game, they've got a ship now that they can't get off the planet with. Most likely, it sounds like it's damaged. The only way they're going to get off that planet, no matter what they do.
There were 2 dropships, though. Right?
Yes, we don't know what happened to the other dropship. You're right, but
Do we still have comms? Can we ask him?
Yeah,
Tansy.
absolutely.
Yeah, have Tansy.
Ask Price if both of his ships have been hit or just one.
The dropship B is inserting on the far side of a plateau. It has not been hit by weapons fire, but it can't carry the entire platoon back. At least not in one try.
Yeah, we might not have to worry about that.
Not one trip, I should say.
I don't mean to be.
No,
I don't mean to be
it's
cold and cruel, but we know what these guys can do. I'm not sure they do. So
Hicks is just shaking his head. He's like,
All right.
idiots never learn. They just keep minting new ones.
To be honest, we haven't even taken into account the fact that there might be xenomorphs.
oh well, I'm I'm thinking
on this
very.
planet
They
protecting the ships.
Did what's his name, Price? Did he confirm that's an engineer ship, or did they just say an
He
alien
just
ship?
said alien vessel.
All right.
we have to presume it was an engineer ship.
Yeah. My vote is to see how this develops while we're in orbit.
Yeah, there's
We'll be
there's
able
no
to tell.
reason for us
Yeah.
to run
There's
into
no reason
harm's
for us
way, right?
No, I don't think we can learn anything by going into atmosphere that we can't learn out here, unless it's just total silence, which it might be. But we'll see.
Nope,
Uh-oh.
just lost Bob.
Lost Bob. What about Bob?
Bob's saying, I'm not fucking staying around here anymore. Fuck out of this planet orbit.
All right, let's give him a minute to come back.
Bob's getting in the lifeboat and
Yeah,
putting himself in cryo and hitting FTL.
yeah.
He'll get
Yeah.
there eventually. 57 years.
Later, dudes.
I think we're in a position where we'll wait for Bob to get back, but we're in a position where we don't have to run in and do anything. We can hang and see. We don't know what type of assistance they need, but theoretically, if we just dive down there, no offense to Rose, but I know she wants information, but if we just dive down there, we run the risk of getting damaged too, and then where will we be? But I do like the idea that if we have to do something, maybe we can enter the atmosphere far away from this location and then drop our lifeboat and fly that in and see what we can do. That keeps the Magellan safe and in reserve.
Yeah, we definitely need to do that. So, I mean, we've got a tractor, we should use it. So, once we get to a point of having enough information to make a decision, then my vote is to, if we were to go down land far and tractor in,
Tractor in, or we could, like I said, we could fly the lifeboat in.
is it a lifeboat like maneuverable, or is it one of those, you can point it in a direction and it just goes? It's not a, I don't know that it's in atmosphere, it may not have a capability, right?
Yeah, the rules just say it's maneuverable. It doesn't.
Oh,
It doesn't
okay.
indicate.
All right, well,
That
then it
that's
is. I guess we could use it as a kind of an aero car.
Bob says his laptop died. He's trying to get in on his desktop.
Oh,
Right.
There it is.
all right.
Give him a second. See if he's got comms. Bob.
Can you get me?
Oh, yeah, I heard
I heard
something.
you.
Is it? Cool. I think I'm back again.
Okay.
Wow.
It's
We thought
actually
you-
it's actually a lot clearer.
We
Yeah,
thought
it
you
is.
we thought you were mad at us.
No, my laptop decided to shut down and not boot up again. So,
Okay.
All right. So while you were rebooting, we strongly agreed that there's no reason for us to jump in and do anything at this point. That we can sit back for a while and see how it develops and then decide what to do. So
Sounds
there's no
good.
reason for us to do anything but stay in orbit and monitor, use our sensors and use our comms to try and listen in or look in and see what's going on. And then we'll decide what's happening. Now, Rose may not like that because we're not collecting any information that she might want. But we, at any rate, we're not going to put the Magellan in direct danger. We don't want to come in near, even if we decided to come break the atmosphere and go down there, we wouldn't want to bring the Magellan in close to the site and take fire like they did and damage it, because then where would we be? So if we decide we're going to go down and help out, if there's a reason to go down and help out, or to collect information for Rose, whatever, then we'll come down in a remote location. We can use the tractor or we can use the lifeboat to go over to the site and do what we're going to do. And also, that doesn't put everyone in danger. Everyone on the ship, on the Magellan's, in danger if it gets hit. Only the people in the lifeboat or in the tractor are in danger. So that was our discussion while you were rebooting. What do you think?
Yeah.
Okay.
Jake still has his original statements of he's happy to be in orbit, but even that is pushing it because we don't know when it will tick off the yacha. But that's probably the least we can do for them.
Well, and at this point, the only hope isn't not a strategy, but they didn't fire on us because they didn't perceive us as a threat. So hopefully that will continue.
I'm sure that's what the mouse thinks when the cat sits staring at it as well.
As a side note, I like your statement that hope is not a strategy. I make that statement to my sales guys on an almost daily basis. Someone at some point goes, "I hope I sell a car today." Hope's not a plan.
No. Okay, so what do we do next? Do we obviously we're going to sit in orbit and keep track of the information. Meanwhile, well, is this a breaking point? It's
yeah, it can be
10
actually.
minutes. 10 minutes to noon
Our time.
Eastern Standard Time. So I'd like to take a break here then and grab a bite, since it seems like we're at a breaking point.
Yeah, that works perfectly. We can do that.
Sounds good.
Take a quick pause and come back in a few minutes.
Okay.
All right, cool. You there, Bob?
Yep, I'm here.
You're much clearer on the desktop than you are on the laptop.
Yeah, I have to use another headset with a USB connection for the desktop. So
Gotcha. Is the laptop just built-in mic?
yes, yeah.
Yeah, that'd be why. Gotcha. I don't know if you are much into board games or even have anybody that would play board games with you, but the Alien Fate of the Nostromo board game is a lot of fun.
Don't think I've seen that one yet.
It's it's a cooperative game. Um, there's a it's you've got a the board is a layout of Nostromo, upper level and lower level, and there's the different characters from the movie. Each character has different abilities, and you have to work together to uh, to win to defeat the alien. I've played it 4 or 5 times with my kids, and it's fun, but it's hard. We've only beaten it once.
Right. Oh, it looks pretty cool. I'm looking at the pictures now. Yeah, I only know about the Marine or the Versus Aliens board games that came out a
Uh huh.
while ago. That's like a dungeon crawl.
Yeah, another day in the core and stuff like
Yes.
that. Yeah.
Yep.
Do you have the Blade Runner rulebook?
Yes.
Okay. Did you back the Kickstarter, or did you just get the PDF when it came available?
Kickstarter.
Yeah. Yeah, I went. I hate to admit I went all in on it, but hey, if you're going to go, you may as well go all in, I guess. But it's I'm really excited. Have you gotten the physical rulebook?
Uh, yes. Bought the rule book. Still waiting for it.
Gotcha. It's here. Hold on 1 second. Let me see if I can reach over and grab this without disconnecting my headset. Urgh. Well, easier said than done. There we go. It's I'm very pleased with it. It's obviously it's a hardcover, but it's got a really solid feel to it. Is the best way I can explain it. Even though it's not nearly as thick as the Alien RPG rulebook, it, it it's got a heavier duty feel to it, which I hope pans out because I don't know about you, but my Alien RPG rulebook is getting kind of rough. Like the binding is giving out in spots.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. If it's made to be durable and of quality, that'll be good.
Yeah, and that's what I'm hoping. I'm that's how it feels. So I'm hoping they kind of learned their lesson with the Alien RPG because those complaints about the Alien RPG rulebook and like Destroyer of Worlds, like my physical copy of Destroyer of Worlds, I've only played it once with the physical copy, and the binding on the book is already giving out. So, and you'll find if you look online, you'll find that that's a complaint with a lot of the Alien RPG products.
Right. Yep.
So, yeah, I'm hoping that will pan out. But I bought the, I did the whole thing. I got the starter set. I got the extra set of dice, and everything. I'm really excited about it. I wasn't sure I was going to be, but I bought into it just because it's one of my beloved movies.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. At least with generic cyberpunk, there's so much to draw on. Already out there, or
Absolutely.
cyberpunk noir. That it's a rich environment, even if they don't push a lot of product for it.
Yeah. Yeah. Which the indication is that I mean I don't know. I feel like Alien RPG has been a little slow to come out with product. Um, and I get it. It's a balancing act. They don't want to be like D&D, where D&D is just you know D&D for years going back to the 80s has just had well, the 90s really has just had a flood of new product, and people get product burnout, plus our wallets can't handle it, right?
Yes. Yeah. Correct.
but um but I feel like Alien's been a little slower than I would like. So I'm hoping we'll see two or three more case files for Blade Runner past the initial one next year. That'll help kind of keep us all going. Because I'm not sure I've got enough in me to write my own case files.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
Are they pretty elaborate?
the first one is, um, and I guess I did, I did write a detective story for Alien. We played it. I did Immaculate. Um, but I don't know that I can produce that type of content on a regular basis. The let's be blunt, the alien hunting you down, going to kill you all, is a much easier storyline to write.
Sure. Yes, it is.
Um, I'm just wondering if you can take something like Delta Green and just kind of reskin their modules and put it in the you know Blade Runner universe.
You
Because at the
probably
end of the
could,
day, it is a investigation story.
right? Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I think that's a very legitimate possibility. Um, so,
What's the word on mechanics? Just like briefly, since Marty's not back.
um, the mechanics are it's kind of a mix between what we do here in Alien versus what we did in Conan by Modifius. It's a success-based system, um, and on any die you roll where you get a 6, it's a success. Okay, but it's broken down into attributes and skills, just like Alien, and skills have a connecting attribute, just like Alien. But everything is rated between a letter grade A through D. Okay, the better the letter grade, the higher die you roll. So if you're wanting to punch a guy and you have an A in strength and a B in close combat, or whatever the equivalent is, you roll a D12 for the A and you roll a D10 for the B. Okay?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And anything 6 or better is a success. Anything 10 or better on one die is 2 successes. So it's now, on the other hand, if you're trying to punch a guy and you've got a D strength and a D close combat, you're rolling 2d6. You only really have a 1 in 3 chance of succeeding at all. Um, so it's character balance. you can certainly min-max your character, but if you min-max your character, you're going to have things you're phenomenal at, and you're going to suck at everything else. Character balance becomes very important. It does have a push system. Um, you can push any roll uh, and re-roll dice as long as you didn't roll a 1 on that die. So if I rolled a d10 and a d8 for observation and I didn't succeed and I want to push it, I can do that unless one of those dice has a 1. If one of those dice has a 1, I can't re-roll that die. And if you get a 1 on any pushed roll, you either take a point of damage or take a point of stress, depending on whether it was a physical or mental thing. Um, it The game is broken up into shifts. You've got 4 shifts per day. You have to have a shift of downtime. Every 3 shifts, you have to have a shift of downtime. Or I guess in every day, you have to have 1 shift of downtime. It doesn't really matter where it is, but if you go more than 3 shifts in a row without your downtime, you will take damage or stress. Um, it's And then there's an advantage and disadvantage system like Dungeons and Dragons, where if you're in an example, if you're interrogating a suspect, which I think is empathy and manipulation, just like Alien, and let's say you're doing it out on the street, and you have a D10 and a D8, that's fine. You roll your D10 and D8. But an advantage situation is where you hauled his ass down to the LAPD tower, and you've got him in an interrogation room. At that point, you roll with advantage, which means you roll an extra die equal to the lower die on your roll. So if you have a 10 and an 8 with advantage, you'd roll a 10 and 2 d8s. A disadvantage situation would be perhaps if you're trying to interrogate a criminal kingpin and he's on his own ground surrounded by his thugs. You're going to lose your lower die in that situation and just have 1 die. So it's like when I first read through it, it sounds complex, but playing around with the character sheet a little bit, it's actually really easy. It's pretty simple. um, Combat's a little different in Alien. You take a critical hit anytime you're broken, whereas in this you can take a critical hit without being broken. So if someone shoots you, even if they only do a couple points of damage and they don't break you, they can still blow your brains out. um, and the critical the severity of the critical has a lot to do with the weapon you're using. The critical chart, there's 2 different critical charts. There's one for what they call crushing damage and one for piercing damage. Obviously, firing a gun is considered piercing. A knife is piercing. Hitting someone with a club is crushing. Punching someone's crushing. If you do a critical, the die you roll for that critical depends on the weapon. And the higher you roll, the worse the criticals are. But like a punch, for example, has only a D6 for its critical roll, and there's 12 items on the chart. You can't crush somebody's skull with a punch. Essentially, is what it amounts to. So you might be able to break their nose, but you're not going to kill somebody as a general rule. Now there are exceptions. If someone's already broken and you keep beating on them over and over, something bad's going to happen. But
wasn't there a politician that their son punched somebody in the face and they died, and they got charged with? I think they got charged with manslaughter.
Jesus.
It was, I don't know if it was Chicago or New York, but it was somebody. It's somebody big, but it was one of those where, yeah, I think most people have been in a position where they fantasize about just slugging somebody in the face for for something stupid they said to your girlfriend or whatever. But it was that kind of situation in a bar, and he dropped him with 1 punch, and for whatever reason, it caused a hemorrhage, and the guy died.
Yeah,
Brain bled out. It's
that's
crazy.
yeah.
I don't think he was especially big or anything. It was just a very unlucky punch in
Yeah.
that case. But
Well,
yeah,
that's
it's sad.
yeah, no doubt. Um. All right. So you guys are in orbit, and I would think it would make sense that Tansy is keeping you in a geosynchronous orbit, so that you're always roughly over the landing site. Um, because obviously you don't want to be on the far side of the planet, and they're trying to send you a message. It wouldn't work. So you okay, Cat, go on, go on. You're making you're in orbit for the space of quite some time. The minutes tick by. What's everybody doing while this is going on? While you're all waiting on pins and needles for something to happen.
Well, I don't know if we're going to do anything besides sit here with bated breath. I mean, Hicks wants to go and start provisioning the tractor, but he's not going to leave until we find out what's happening at the surface, I think.
Well, I can. First of all, I would ask that Jake keep doing sensor sweeps of the surface to see what we can pick up with instruments. Tansy's monitoring comms. So
Sorry. I just had that shot from Airplane go through my head with instruments. Sorry.
um, I'm going to go ahead and just spend my time double checking all of our equipment and our weapons in stores. Make sure everything is in tip-top shape. Basically, busy work, because it doesn't do any good to stand around in a crowded bridge waiting to hear something. So that's what I'm going to do. That's what Dwayne's going to do, is basically check and recheck all the equipment. Check the tractor, just make sure everything's in tip-top shape, because I think we might need it.
All right. What about you, Jake? You got anything you want to do to pass the time?
Kind of as mentioned, he'll just do active scans to the surface to see what's going on, but also get as much information as possible, and passive scanning of the system to see if the alien ship pops up somewhere.
Okay.
Oh, good idea.
All right.
Well done.
Go ahead and, since you're scanning, go ahead and make a ComTech roll. So it's +2 and -1, and we'll give you +1 for Rose or Dr. Roman helping you. So just a +2 total, I guess. One success. Nothing to indicate you have any company in the system. As far as what's down on the planet, this planet, it's a very Earth-like place, and where the drop ships landed is kind of a cool temperate zone, 10 degrees Celsius, somewhere in that ballpark. It seems to be forested. What's interesting is there seems to be a general lack of fauna. Um, it's just an interesting side note. Of course, your sensors aren't really geared for that type of thing, so more details would require investigation. But it doesn't seem like there's a lot of actual animal life on this planet. Um, Whereas there is a fair amount of plant life, so there's got to be insects and that type of thing. But um, you definitely, your sensors definitely pick up the Cheyenne drop ships. I mean, they have their own beacons, to be sure, and you are picking up two of them. They do seem to be they do seem to be landed on opposite sides of a plateau, and there's definitely another vessel there. Seems consistent with what you guys have dubbed the engineer ships on top of that plateau. Um, Beyond that, there's not a whole lot you could tell from here. And until there's a handful of high energy discharges. It's about all you can pick up at this distance up
Yeah.
in orbit.
Yeah, that's what I was waiting for. The high energy discharges.
It's a few hours. It's a few hours in. You guys have probably been in orbit 2 or 3 hours at this point, and then you've got your communications system crackling up. Uh, Lieutenant Colonel Price's voice. He's not nearly as calm as he has been. SS Magellan, SS Magellan, respond, respond. Who wants that job?
Jake just looks up and to no one in particular says, "Ask him to say please."
Yeah. Well, he's been talking to Tansy, right?
Yes, I suppose she can certainly answer if you like. This is SS. Go ahead.
Sorry, does Hicks recognize this guy?
No, no, definitely not, because you're from a completely different MAU, a different
Okay.
operational sector. So, your MAU operated out of well, we can just look at the map.
That's fine. It's different. So I can jump on the radio.
Yeah,
and,
he wouldn't necessarily know you off the cuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I'll jump on the radio and say, "This is Magellan. Go ahead."
This is Colonel Price. We are in trouble. Multiple alien life forms, hive complex under the cave system, as well as these higher technology Yautja, you called them. Our second dropship has been disabled. We evac from the cave system. The dropship is not flight worthy. We need pickup.
What's the nearest exfil site that you can manage?
I'm sorry, I missed that.
What's the nearest exfiltration site that they can manage? Where is a safe place we could pick you up?
I would say that Jake probably has some advice on that. There is the area around the plateau is pretty wooded, but there is a large flat plain that would accommodate your ship. Price says there is an area about 2 clicks west of the cave complex and plateau, large enough to accommodate your ship. You could pick us up there.
How many?
I was going to ask how many, and what's the disposition of the enemy?
Multiple enemy forces, and all of a sudden he gets drowned out by weapons fire.
Okay, that's a disposition then.
How many Marines?
6.
Ooh.
That's all that's left? 6? Oh boy. Okay. I don't know. I'm looking up at Rudy and the rest of the people that are up on the bridge. We need to get them.
I think so too. But we don't necessarily have to put the Magellan in danger. What about our idea of coming into the atmosphere away from the location and then using the lifeboat to zoom over and pick these guys up? It can be you, me, our 2 security guys.
On the lifeboat, yeah.
What we
And
want to do.
then ideally we can lock them in the lifeboat.
I'm not locking anybody anywhere. Okay.
Okay.
Well, if they come in and commandeer
If you
the
lock
ship
them in,
with,
I'm going to let them out.
Okay.
well, if they
One
come
step
in
at
and
a time.
commandeer the ship with their weapons, I'm expecting you to reimburse me then. That's all I'm saying.
We'll make sure they don't
No
commandeer
problem.
the ship.
If you live.
Yeah. We will not count.
Let's
commandeer
do
the ship.
one step at a time. We need to be prepared. We'll land, but they got to make their way to us. So we got to pick the exfiltration site, just like you said. We'll land there. We'll deploy. To cover their retreat to the vessel, and then we'll skedaddle. What do you think? So we've got AR-40s. What else do you think we should bring with us?
Well, let's confirm the plan first and let him know.
Sharif just messaged me. He's on his way.
Oh, really?
Guess he's feeling better.
That would be nice.
All right. Well, he can make a decision then.
Well, I think the decision is whether he comes with us on the lifeboat or not, right?
Yeah, but
Or
I mean, as far as like
she.
yeah. All right.
Well, regardless, Tansy has to pilot you guys in, right?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
So let's just go ahead and do that. Where's Tansy?
Start that, and we would have to identify another landing, unless you can launch the shuttle mid-flight in the atmosphere.
Yeah, I don't see why you wouldn't be able to do that.
Right. That's what I was thinking. I didn't see why we wouldn't be.
Okay, if it's not against the rules, it's a different thing than just no gravity and all that stuff. But okay, if you allow it, that's awesome because we can drop in and then stay on station.
Hey, they dropped the X-15, didn't they?
Yeah. Did the X-15 go back up into the B-29 though?
No, but we can leave the planet in the vessel. We just can't go down to the planet in the.
Oh, that's right. It doesn't have planetfall, but it has.
So we could have the Magellan hang around in case we need them.
Yeah, it's a lot easier to leave a planet's atmosphere than to go in.
Sure.
Right. So we could let them drop us, and we fly and do our thing, and they can hang out. And if it looks like it's going to be okay, then they can exit the atmosphere, and we'll do the same, and then we'll meet up in space.
Yeah.
I was really hoping Tansy was going to fail that roll. There could have been nothing better than component damage on the ship at this time, forcing you guys to land. And I guess as a GM, I could just force that to happen, but I'm a kind and gentle GM, so we'll go by what the roll says.
You overused that MacGuffin.
Yeah, well, how many times can you just force mechanical failure, especially on what is a relatively new ship? So maybe if you were driving a 60-year-old freighter, that'd be one thing.
But I'm glad you brought it up earlier today, the idea about the lifeboat, because I think it gives us more options than trying to land nearby with the entire ship and use a tractor. The lifeboat gives us more options. We can come in and land. If it gets damaged, the Magellan we can still try and hot-foot it out someplace to meet the Magellan. We've got options, or we can hopefully get them on board and then lift off and get to space.
Or Bob can just commandeer Magellan and just fly off and leave everybody behind. Wait,
yeah,
what?
well, I'd like to see his roles, because Tansy will still be piloting. All right, let's
real quick. In the very first game we played, long time ago, Monsters We Make, which unfortunately I think there was only 3 of you here. Bob, weren't you the one who had the female hidden android that worked for the opposing company, LaSalle Bionational? Was that you?
Don't think so.
Who was that? I don't remember. I'd have to go back and look, but it was anyway. Rival company and yeah, I'm sure it was you. Because it was the one where you guys went into Wayland Utani Station. You were Wayland Utani employees, and there was the rhinomorph that you guys caught the attention of too early, and I thought it was you and then the Kumiko Gutierrez character that were inside the computer lab downloading data, and you realized she was an android, so she attacked you. Was that not you? I swear it was.
Too long ago.
Too long ago.
When we
yeah,
when
whatever.
we
Yeah,
played
there's too much since then, I think.
when we played the game, wasn't it Klaya who was that character?
No, you're thinking of Rule of Robots.
Oh, I thought you said Rule of Robots.
No,
oh,
I was
you're
thinking
the monsters
we make. Yeah,
monsters we make. Oh,
yeah.
different.
We never played that one.
No, we didn't.
Um,
I was listening in to you guys playing it. All right, let's get on with it.
Yeah. Streep should be here in a minute. All right. So yeah, she.
Hot dog.
There he is. Of course. There he goes.
I wonder if it, no, we didn't have to do anything on our end.
No, all we had to do
For the
was
new
turn them both on, both video and.
Sharif, you there?
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Oh, barely.
Yeah. Oh man, what's going
Oh,
on?
you sound bad, man.
Yeah, man, I don't know what happened. I got run over by a truck.
God.
Oh jeez.
Okay. You up to this, buddy?
Yeah,
Okay.
can't miss this.
All right.
I mean, sorry for being late. I had to try to sleep because I haven't slept in like 2 days.
Of
So
course.
Oh, God. You gotta take care of yourself, man.
Mitted myself up and got a few hours. So.
Okay, good. All right. So we're going to give Sharif the quick recap here. You guys went to the to the mystery star system that you guys have been talking about for some time. The short of it is when you got there, there's one habitable planet. As you were approaching, and you because of Bob's excellent Comtech roll, you did pick up a I'm sorry, the leftovers of a tachyon surge that seemed to be decaying near the planet. As you guys approached, the USS Magellan Conestoga class frigate with Lieutenant Colonel Price on board and deploying in dropships came from around the far side of the planet and told you guys to stand down and heave to. And right about then, and because you haven't gotten to see it, but everyone else did, I'll show it to you. A ship the likes of which none of you have ever seen before showed up and emitted some sort of beam-like weapon that basically cleaved the Mahan completely in half. The bow of the ship burned up in orbit, whereas the aft section of the ship is just kind of floating out there. No one alive on board. You guys contacted Price. He is actually on the dropships they're landing. They detected an alien ship on the planet, and that's where they're going to deal with the bombers themselves. And the alien ship, before it disappeared, fired off 6 things that Blake Jones, aka Hicks, your resident Marine, thought he recognized as very similar to USCMC drop pods. They're individual pods meant to hold like one guy that are fired at the planet. So you guys tried to warn Lieutenant Colonel Price that he was about to be in a world of hurt, and he of course said, we have the best equipment and best training, we've got this under control, but with Mahan being down, we're going to need you guys to pick us up when we're finished with this. And just a few hours later, you guys get communication from him saying that he and the remainder of his team need evac, that both of their drop ships are non-operational, inoperational, and that he and his remaining 6 guys need to be picked up. So
Out of 6 guys out of essentially 2 platoons,
Yeah.
one in each dropship.
Yeah. So So you guys, at this point, you've made planetfall, and I think at this point, you guys are trying to figure out the exact way you wanted to do this. You know that there is an area, to give you the lay of the land a little bit, Rudy, so that you know what's up. Um, you guys did pick up the alien ship that seems to be consistent with what you guys think to be an engineer ship. It seems to be landed on top of a plateau under which you know there's a cave system because Lieutenant Colonel Price told you as much. Um, the drop ships landed south and north of the cave system, and there is a there is a flat plane that would accommodate a ship of your size about 1.5 clicks west of the plateau. So that was the last thing you guys heard from Price. When he answered that there were 6 of them left, like I said, there was weapons fire in the background. You hear guys shouting, and then he doesn't transmit after that.
But we did tell him to make his way to the exfiltration site,
You
right?
did.
Yeah. All right. So the last thing as we were discussing was the right way to do this, but what we're thinking was that
I'm just going to interrupt here. I noticed that there's a spinning kind of icon on Sharif's face there. Sharif, are you still there?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Oh, I can hear you. Yeah, okay. I was just worried because
Oh, yeah.
everybody else has a check mark, and you've got this like
That's
sunflower rotating thing
No, he's
right
a
there.
check
Yeah.
on my side.
My
he's checked
keyboard,
on my side.
Oh, he does. Oh, okay. Yeah, he does.
my keyboard shortcuts got reset and don't work.
Well,
Yeah, that's
it might have something that we've changed. I don't know, but Roll20 has rolled out a new beta software for voice and video because you may notice you can see some of us. Um, the We switched over to that, and it seems to be working. Knock on, well, this is glass, but knock on wood, we have not had any technical difficulties at all so far. And we actually have video, which is amazing. We haven't had video in forever.
I do not
All right.
see you.
Oh, under your settings, go to the audio video section, expand that, and then you've got the others can hear or see, and I can hear or see. You've got both. It's probably set to voice only still. If you switch those to both and hit reconnect, you should be good to go.
Or you can say I can hear or see both, and you can leave others hear voice if you are, depending on the state you're in from your.
Gotcha. Oh, you guys are a good looking bunch.
Yeah, we're concerned about
handsome-
your delicate situation.
Some handsome. Yeah, I'm fragile, but you guys look like rough hooligans. I like it.
Yeah, especially with the lack of hair on top of my head.
All right. So while you're monkeying with that, our basic plan, what we were thinking, we didn't want to put the entire Magellan at risk. Their 2 drop ships got hit by weapons fire as they were trying to land, or one got hit by weapons fire. It seems like the other one got damaged eventually too. We don't want to just fly into a hot LZ with the Magellan. So what we were thinking was get the Magellan inside the atmosphere and then drop the lifeboat, which can operate as a shuttle and can take off from the surface and go into space. So what we're thinking was that Hicks and Dunning, the 2 security guys, and Rudy, if she wants to, but what we're thinking was piloting the lifeboat over to the exfiltration site, clearing. What'd you say? 1 point something clicks away.
1.5, yeah.
1.5 away, and then we would deploy to protect the retreat of the remaining guys till they're on board, and then we would get on board and take off and get the heck out of Dodge. Now, that leaves us options. If our ship gets damaged, we still have the Magellan available. If it looks like we're going to get off the planet, the Magellan can just go and we can meet up in space. So those were the options. If we decided to use our tractor to motor towards these guys to pick them up, we'd end up landing the Magellan in that LZ and possibly exposing the Magellan unnecessarily to fire. And remember, we still have Ripley and we have Newt on the ship, and we've got our 2 scientists, and we've got Rose. There's a whole bunch of people we don't want to put in jeopardy. If something, God forbid, if something really terrible happens to us, they can just take off. The other thing of note was that the Yautja ship could still be up there, but cloaked somehow where we can't see it. But it did scan us and turn towards us, but then it didn't fire. It just moved off away. So we're thinking it didn't perceive us as a threat. So we're hoping
So it was aware of us. It just chose not to kill us.
Exactly, and it's because we don't really have any weapons on the ship, so it didn't perceive us as a threat. We think so. We're hoping that follows through.
Razor thin, but I like that.
So that's what we're up to. Nothing else. We're piloting down the Magellan down with some distance away, a significant distance away from the site, and it's going to take a bit. So we're getting prepared to drop the lifeboat and fly over. And Hicks was going to pilot the lifeboat.
So to be
it's anyway. So that, I think that brings you up to speed. But the decision for you is basically whether you think there's a better. Well, first of all, do you have any better ideas? But second would be if Rudy wants to come along with us or stay on the Magellan.
Wherever you think it's best, I'll come along, I suppose, if you think it's best.
Well, I think it's just the best fun if Rudy. I think it would be more fun for you if Rudy came. But
yeah, I'll come along.
That's just my opinion.
It's a good plan.
And actually, I don't have a piloting skill. I can remote pilot something.
Oh, wait a minute. Who was going to pilot then?
I don't know that we decided.
I think that's going to put it on Rudy, because Rudy's got some piloting ability, I believe.
Yes, Rudy's got better piloting than me. I have some, I think. Yeah, I've got 5 piloting dice, but I thought Rudy had 6 or 7. Look.
Yeah, I think Rudy has 8.
8. Oh, well, Rudy's the pilot. For sure.
Oh, that's right, because you have a high agility, don't you? Yeah.
Yes.
And we really didn't go into this because you were more or less running as an NPC for the last couple hours. But you have, because it took the ship almost 2 months to get here in cryo, during which time you stayed up and were working. You're definitely beyond a very basic rudimentary level in terms of the engineer language. You're getting to the you can definitely read it better than you could speak it. I wouldn't say you're quite to the point of having a full fluent conversation, but you can definitely read it and understand it. And if you were to run across someone speaking the language, you would have a general understanding of what they're saying to you, is the best way to put it. Like I said, you're not fluent,
cool.
but you're getting there. It's like you're up in Spanish 3 in high school, something.
Well, it's not bad considering I've never heard it spoken.
That's true. Well, you have, but you haven't, because you do have the files from David, and he heard it spoken. So.
I gotcha.
Yeah. All right. So that I'm clear, are you guys going to do a flyover with Magellan with everybody on board, or are you going to basically release the lifeboat in the upper atmosphere and let the lifeboat do its thing from there?
Yes, I think that was the plan, and keep Magellan
safe from weapons fire.
A fair distance away from the site. Yes.
Yeah, and flying.
Okay, that's what I thought, but I just wanted to be clear. So the next question that I've got is, again, so that we're all on the same page, who all's on the lifeboat? We know we've got Dunning. We've got Hicks. We've got Rudy. Where's Rudy? There's Rudy.
The two security
The
guys.
two security guys. Thank you.
That's
I
the
knew I was
guys.
missing
Does
someone.
that leave a pilot on the Magellan at all?
Yeah,
Yes, that leaves Tansy to pilot the Magellan.
yeah, your NPC pilot.
Well, that's right, the actual pilot.
Yep. And I think Rose wants to come along.
That's her call.
Ripley and Newt are definitely staying on board Magellan. Ripley's not letting Newt anywhere near this. What about you, Jake? You're staying on board ship, or are you going down on the?
Jake will go down.
Whoa!
He does have some combat experience, so he'll just bulk up in his best armor and assist.
There's got
That
to be
was
some.
Plus,
There's got to be some scientific interest on his end
that
too.
was a pleasant surprise. Look at you go,
well,
Jake.
it's more a probably from his side. It's more to keep an eye on things so it doesn't spiral out of hand.
That
And
makes
if
sense.
the Marines get rowdy, he's just going to kick them out again.
All right. So then here becomes the next question. In terms of gear,
Yeah,
equipment,
I'm looking at the ship stores right now.
what is everyone bringing with them? Not that you're going to need anything specific.
Well,
I mean, Hicks being the resident weapons guy, I guess. I mean, we could. I'm saying the auto turrets are going to go on the shuttle. I don't know if we have an opportunity to set them up, but if we get stranded down there in an Alamo type situation, we'll need those.
That's
and
good thinking. I like that. How many
yeah,
missiles do you guys
yeah.
have?
and then flame units for sure. And then it's really up to what people are comfortable bringing with for their personal weapon. But,
all right. Well, we should. Yeah, each person should bring their personal weapon of choice. I like the incinerator units, and then make sure everyone's got Stratsoul armor. Right, that's an armor rating of 6.
Yep.
Armor rating will not grade below 5 due to acid damage. So all right, so that's cool. So I think Dwayne's weapon of choice is the AR-40 with some reloads. Make sure everyone takes water. We're hoping to get in and get out, but you don't know. Make sure everyone's got water. Let's see. I don't like the idea of even the thought of why I would make sure we have these, but I think that at least a couple of us should have flashlights.
Well, that
I
becomes
don't want to go in those caves, but
that becomes the next thing. The Stratsoul AR-40 has a mount for either the short range motion tracker, I guess it's medium range motion tracker, or a flashlight. So if you're bringing an AR-40, you can bring one with a flashlight mounted on it if you like.
yeah, that's a good idea, Dwayne, or Marty Dwayne. And then I think we need to start using the full. Do we have full size motion trackers, right? Without the mini ones.
I think
we?
Jake has
Yep.
one. Yeah.
Yeah. We need to start using those more than the weapons mounted ones because they have a longer range too.
Longer range, and I think they have better power rating too.
Yeah. So if we have those, let's throw those in there.
all right, we have 4 incinerator units, so
Put them all. Well, put 3 of them onto the shuttle.
yeah. Who's
You
going
never
to
know what's going to come back with us. So. I think one of the security guys will take a incinerator, and
Okay. We can do that.
I'm not sure if we need 2 of them to go with us on our bodies. We could decide and see how things
Well,
happen.
Dwayne, let me look at my sheet. I've got such a high encumbrance that I should probably just carry one no matter what. Let me look at my sheet.
I don't know if you guys saw, but I was trying to ask, is somebody going to use the Yautja equipment?
I didn't even think of that.
That's a good point.
We have a computer and we have a weapon rifle combo. I mean, I don't know if we've actually tried to
Yeah,
use
I've got the self-destruct armband too. Should make a great grenade, nuclear grenade.
But is there
One hell of a grenade.
some kind of penalty to using that stuff? Because none of us have been
Well,
trained to use
none
it.
of
Only
you
Ripley
have
knows
taken
how to do it.
Yeah, none of you have taken any time to learn how to use it, unfortunately.
That's true. Yeah, something we could have done, but oh well.
Coulda, shoulda.
Yeah, I mean, I have just my Skinner knife that I have. Just Skinner, so that doesn't take anything to learn, right? It's just a
No,
knife.
it's just a really nasty knife.
And Ripley's staying on board, and she wore the suit the most, so we're not. I think we're going to have to go with what we know.
What's the atmosphere like here? We don't need rebreathers or anything?
No, it is perfect, actually. It is.
Hawaii?
Well, it's chilly. It's about 10 degrees C, but it is a perfect nitrogen oxygen mix. No heavy elements, nothing like that.
Okay, so yeah, armor is going to be important. Armor is going to be very important. So, I'm going to look at ship stores, and then I think we should get this train moving here. Other ship stores.
I still have that hand cannon, but I'm thinking I should put that back in ship stores. Who controls ship stores, by the way?
I think you all have access to edit it.
Oh, okay. All right, so
Need to bring med kits.
yeah.
Yeah.
I've got a med kit. I've got
because med kits are consumable. They just give you a +2 to medical aid rolls. But remember, the surgical kit. If someone's broken, you need a surgical kit to stabilize. But
A surgical kit. Yeah.
I think Rudy carries a surgical kit. I could be wrong.
Usually do.
Yeah, just make sure it's on your character sheet. Bob, did you get my message?
Checking. I heard a ping.
Doesn't everybody love it when the GM says to one player, "Hey, did you get that secret message I didn't send to everybody else?"
Let's check.
Nothing evil going on there. Nothing at all.
All right, so let me count out my encumbrance here. If I take, instead of a cutting torch, I don't see any reason to have a cutting torch. Maybe I'll take an incinerator unit. So 1.
Well, it sounds like.
All right, it looks like my encumbrance can be 10, and I think it's going to be 6.
Well, does it sound like you guys are ready to go then?
Check.
Nap relief. I've got a couple.
Yeah, I mean those don't take any encumbrance, though, right? They're just pills.
Yeah,
They're small items.
You just need to have it on your sheet so we know you have it.
So who's got the surgical kit? Rudy?
Correct.
All right. And it wouldn't hurt if we had one or more med kits. I'll just put some on my sheet since my encumbrance.
Yeah, it's only a quarter slot item.
Right. So that's a half. one.
What is the?
Two.
Does the surgical kit also do the same thing as the med kit?
No, the surgical kit is a non-consumable item. Med kits, when you roll medical aid, you consume a med kit to give you a +2. But a surgical kit is specifically for treating someone with a critical injury. If you've got someone who has a critical injury, you cannot treat that without a surgical kit. So if one of you gets injured and has a ruptured jugular, if you don't have a surgical kit to treat them, they're going to die in a round.
Understood. Should I also carry a med kit then? You said it's a quarter slot item.
Yeah, it's just a quarter slot for a med
Alright,
kit.
I'll
Surgical
throw-
kit is a
I'll
full
throw it
slot,
in
I
the
believe.
throw it in the backpack.
If I put the flashlight on my AR-40, then it doesn't use a slot, right? It's part of the AR-40, which is 1.
Correct.
And then my reloads, so that's 1. That's 1 3/4, 2 3/4, 3 1/4, 4 1/4, 5 1/4, 6 1/4, 6 3/4. All right, so I'm 6.75. That leaves me some room if we have to pick somebody up or something up. All right,
Oh, what could possibly happen?
everything. Everything that can go wrong will go wrong.
Is it really going wrong at that point? I mean, if you're expecting it, it's just how it goes at that point, isn't it? Just a thought.
Hope for the best, plan for the worst.
All right. So you guys have everything you need then, and you're all loaded up, and
How do I get some sodium hydroxide? I'd like to have some big, giant buckets of sodium hydroxide.
yeah, you, I would say you'd have to have thought about that when you were at Civilization.
No, I'm just joking. You really don't want to mess with sodium hydroxide. People don't realize that in concentrated form, it's got a pH of like 10 or 11,
Oh yeah.
and it's as bad. It's caustic, which is essentially it's almost as bad as acid in a lot of ways for human beings, at least.
Right. So as you're all getting loaded up, Tansy's up on the bridge with Ripley and Newt, and I guess Dr. Mitchell's going to be up there as well. And I think Dr. Khan. I'm trying to make a judgment call on that. On one level, I think Dr. Khan would think to come with you guys in case anyone needs to be treated. But you also have medical. You also have Rudy going down as well, and she's got plenty of medical aid. So I guess Dr. Khan doesn't really matter. Plus, you have an auto dock on board the ship. So
Let me ask Ripley. Ripley, do you have any advice for us? Anything we should know based on your experience?
They bleed acid, but you know that
Yeah,
already.
got that. If you cut me, do I not bleed?
That's right. If you see eggs, burn them. Other than that, good luck.
All right.
She kind of look as you guys are all loading up. She looks at Hicks and says, "Make sure you come back."
Oh, that's
You can count on it.
oh smooches.
Yeah, nah.
No kiss.
I'm not kissing Jim. Sorry.
No kiss. No kiss.
Yeah. What was that? That was Peter Venkman in Ghostbusters, right? No kiss. All right. So Tansy's calling up and calling down from the bridge. Lifeboat, we're ready up here.
Okay.
Prepare
We
to
ready, guys?
release in 5, 4, 3. Wait a minute. No. 2. The everything, all the various clamps and magnetic devices. Sorry, my headset cord keeps getting caught on something. Release, and so Rudy, I'm going to have you make a piloting roll.
Okay. Skin of my teeth.
Cutting it close. That's a lot of dice for one success. So, you you've got some obviously some piloting ability, but you've probably never done anything like this. Releasing a piloting a lifeboat that's being released in atmosphere by the main ship. It's
Second time simulated.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. It's it's dicey, but fortunately, the weather doesn't seem to be bad, especially this high up, and you've got the time to get the hang of it, and you're homing in on the coordinates that you're headed towards. Um, as you're coming in, everyone gets a good view as you break through the cloud cover. So everyone who's there can go ahead and make an observation roll if you're looking out the windows.
Absolutely.
And you're welcome to push your roll if you don't get a success. Or you can not. It's up to you.
I'll push it.
All right.
With a little stress.
Jake has a success.
Come on. Why is it not rolling? It's not rolling. It's odd. Come on.
Would you break it?
Let's see, I can't click on anything. So take the stress away, maybe, and try it. All right, well, let me close this one and I'll reopen my character sheet. God damn it. Sorry, guys. Sorry.
It wouldn't be roll 20 if we didn't have some
Something you got, but yeah, right. All right. So we got one stress and observation.
There it goes. All right, it rolled that time. 2 successes.
Oh, I was hiding my. That's what was happening. Never mind. 2 successes. Excellent.
All right.
Okay.
So, Jake and Dwayne or Hicks, I should say. I'm sorry, are probably more hanging on near the windows as you guys do your flyover. It is exactly as described. It's a large flat plateau. It's almost perfectly the size of the ship that is seated on top of it. And it's a ship, the design of which you guys have become very familiar with over the last few months from pictures and David's memories and whatnot. It's that massive C-shaped vessel that just seems to be resting right on top of the plateau itself. Um, it's interesting that you guys have come to call that ship a juggernaut when in fact it's not even as big as it's not as its diameter is not as long as a Conestoga is in terms of its length. Not as far across, I should say. But it's easily the size of your vessel overall. You see you see where the drop ships landed. And with that extra, and you definitely see the landing area to the west of the plateau, or not the landing area, but the plains where the forest, the trees just seem to stop, and it's a grassy plain that looks pretty flat. Surely what the colonel was talking about in regards to where you can land. Hicks, you have an extra success, so uh, with your one good eye, and maybe it's just because you're so used to what a Cheyenne dropship is supposed to look like. One of the Cheyennes, its tail is just a smoking wreck. Um, the other Cheyenne is on the ground on the other side, but you can't see any damage from here. But Price said it was inoperable, so that would probably warrant a closer inspection. You do get as Rudy is circling the lifeboat around, you do see the glint of the sun off of metal in one of the forested areas to the south of the plateau, and it looks like the trees there have been many of them have been knocked down or had limbs knocked off. There's definitely disturbance, like something crashed amongst those trees.
Something crashed amongst those trees.
Yeah.
So then just plow into them. I saw there's something metallic there. You said.
Yeah.
All right, I point that
Kind of
out.
just caught the glint of the sun off the metal.
Yeah, I point that out to the rest of the crew, and so we're have we are we on the shuttle yet?
Yeah, you're on the shuttle.
You're on the
Okay.
shuttle. You
Okay.
pointed out to the rest of us,
Yeah, that there's
like
there's
maybe
something.
maybe one of those pods.
Would it be big enough that I would be able to see it? If it was a pod.
Those pods aren't small, and
Okay.
the big ship did fire off probably 6 of them. So
Yeah.
and
So
with the damage to the tree cover, to the canopy, yeah, that could be what they are.
yeah, so that's what I surmised. That's probably the pods we saw ejecting. And that's how far away from the position where we're landing?
About a kilometer to the southeast.
Jesus, everything's so close.
It's been hours. Theoretically, whatever came out of that pod has already
That's true. Yeah, it's
made its way to the
yeah,
caves.
yeah. I keep forgetting how long it takes for planetfall.
Hicks, did you see in the flyover? Obviously, I didn't see shit. I must have blinders on. Did you see Price and his Marines moving towards our site?
No, I don't see them. But that doesn't mean they're not there. If they're waiting for us, they're hidden.
Let's hope.
Refresh my memory on Price. He threatened to. He intercepted us, right? And he was going to interdict us, and then he got shot down.
Yeah, Lieutenant
So
Colonel.
he's not our
Price
buddy, but we're trying to help him because he's in a bit of trouble.
Let's go ahead.
I think you and Bob need to talk about this.
Yeah, Lieutenant Colonel Price is the commander of 31st Marine Assault Unit based out of Arcturus. You guys met him way back at the beginning after the first mission when you guys came back to Arcturus.
He's a English guy, right? And
No. He's American. He's United States Colonial Marine Corps.
Okay, so he wasn't the guy that we kind of
No, that was
told off.
Yeah, that was actually that. You're correct. He's not that guy. That guy was British. But he was part of 3WE. But you guys did meet him on Arcturus when you came back from your original mission. And what you missed because you weren't here, but it sounds like that between just various encounters of you guys flitting around, plus all the information that you uploaded to the network before you came out here, at the end of last session, it seemed like Price had kind of put it all together himself the same way you guys had. And while you had a head start on him, he has a much faster ship, so he got here right before you guys did. But yes, he was heading down to the planet for an operation, and that's when Mahan got destroyed, and it sounds like he got shot down. So
his op wasn't directly involving us. It's more
No,
like
he was here
coincidence.
already when you guys got there. Yeah.
Okay, so it's coincidence that he's here, but we're gonna help him.
Well, maybe
coincidence.
coincidence that him in particular, but it's
Yeah.
not cool.
But he's interested in the ship, not like jamming us up necessarily.
Correct.
Okay.
All right.
I mean, when he first contacted us, he basically was telling us to keep our distance while they did their thing. That there was no need for us to jump onto the planet and do anything. Of course, that lasted all of about 12 minutes before his ship was cut in half.
So what's the plan here, folks?
Well, I think we need to. I think we need to progress to our LZ and deploy.
And try to contact Price, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Price. I'm going to try to contact Price on the radio as we're coming in.
All right.
Do you know Price? Blake Jones?
No, apparently a different expeditionary unit than I was in.
There is no response. You know that you would certainly know that the communications on the Marines headsets are relatively short range. I mean, let's be blunt; they're meant to transmit to either an APC or a dropship, which would have, stronger communication capabilities. But you should be close enough that they would pick you up at this point, or you would pick them up if there was. And there is nothing on the standard channels, not the the channels you were speaking to them on.
No chatter, no
earlier.
nothing.
There's not a thing.
Well, like you said, it's been 4 hours since last contact, so let's do a. Oh man, how would we do this? I miss Max. I mean, let's set her down, and after a little fly around of the landing site, set her down, and myself and the two Marines will get ready to deploy, and we can set up, get ready to deploy, and we'll have one of the auto guns with us, get ready to put that up if we need to. Sound like a plan?
Yeah, I think you should set up the auto gun anyway to help protect the lifeboat.
How many
Anyway,
of those things do you guys have? You
4.
brought 3 of them or 4 of them?
I think we brought all of them. We don't need them on the ship in space, so yeah.
That's true. Very true.
Yeah, that wouldn't be a good idea.
Haha. Little does he know, flying xenomorphs.
Yeah, right. So yeah, so we have 4 of them, but we'll take 2 of them and get them ready to deploy when the hatch opens.
Okay. All right. That's fine. We can do that. All right. So without further ado, you open the ship up, and you and the 2 security guys deploy. It's a pleasantly cool day. The sky isn't quite blue like it is on Earth. I suppose the incoming sunlight is refracting at a different angle. It's more of a purplish, but the you get the sense that you're on a kind of a grassy plain. You've got these wild growing grasses that are probably about 2 feet tall, not too dissimilar from what you would expect on Earth. And off in the distance, it's what looks like, pine trees and oaks and elms, but very, very tall, very almost like the giant redwoods out in the national forest. They're very. You get the sense of it being an ancient primordial forest. You see the plateau in the distance, and you can just barely make out the part of the ship on top of it.
All right, fire up motion trackers. See if anything's scurrying about.
It's go ahead and make your power roll. And the one mounted your gun should be. Oh, you should be at full power. You guys would have charged all that up. So.
Yep.
So that's at.
If it's the gun mounted one, it's a power of 4.
4. Okay,
with
so
medium range. Now Jake's got the long range one, doesn't he?
Yes.
Yeah,
I was
with
trying
a
to
power
get
of
the
5.
stats here. So Jake will fire that up as well. Yeah, I've got the M31 4M tracker, extreme.
Yeah.
Power 5. Let's set our power to 5. So that would be, what roll is it again with that? Comtech or observation?
No, to use it, you just make your power roll. That's it.
Oh, right. Try that again.
Okay.
There we go.
Very good. There is no motion outside of a little bit of natural air currents, just a soft breeze, but
nothing, huh?
Nothing moving about in the grass, nothing within range of the motion tracker.
All right, so we'll set up two of the. Well, right now we're going to set up 2 of the auto turrets outside of this opening, and just put them on hold. I have to roll a Comtech for that, right?
Correct.
Right. Would I get a +2
for your talent? Yep.
Apparently,
would you like to push the
Snuffy.
Roll?
Yes.
Maybe get a die of help from your biologist.
Yes, we can do that. We'll try to get it. Be like, Jake, God damn it.
Yeah, I'll loan you my SSDD, so that's a +2 on Comtech, and then I will come and help you fiddle with it.
For fuck's sake, I'm banging on it like a work, damn it. So I get a 4 modifier?
Yeah, when it all comes down to it, yeah.
Wow.
Christ, these things are harder to set up than I thought.
Yeah. Where's Hudson when you need him?
Yeah.
All right, so yeah, with some help from Jake and about 10 minutes worth of work, you guys get those things operational. How do you have them set up? Do you have them set up to?
I'm going to have one at I don't know how the ship is oriented, but we want to have. I don't want to drag all 4 out because then if we have to get out of here, it'll take too long to get them. But we'll have one at fore and aft, pointed in different directions.
What's the angle of fire? Is it 100?
I don't know on those. Yeah, I don't know. In the movies, it looks like it's about 45, but I don't.
But it was also a pretty narrow. It was a very narrow hallway or a corridor they were in. I read one of the books recently where they used them, and I get the impression it's a much wider angle of fire than that. I would
imagine at least 180.
Yeah, that was the impression I got from the book, is that it was about 180 degrees.
Yeah. So, okay. Yeah. So we'll fore and aft, to cover.
Okay. And here's the question: what are they going to? What causes them to fire?
Well, again, I don't know. I don't think it really says. I mean, I haven't put on weapons hold, which means that they're running, but they're not going to shoot anything.
Okay.
So until we need to, we're going to leave them that way. It'll still track probably. Right?
Well, how can you? I guess. Do any of the rule books or anything say how you set them up?
Well, I'm going to operate from my experience with the movies. Each one of those sentry guns kind of comes with its own little control panel that looks like a laptop in a briefcase, basically.
Looks just like this.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Use a little laptop.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Even closes.
Oh, yeah.
That was just a fun little set from is it Nico or whatever? I forget.
Yeah. But so if he's got him on just set up on a weapons hold for now, that's fine.
Well, the reason I asked is we just have to. We don't want it to shoot at our guys that it might be coming to the ship, right? So we can't have it just arbitrarily shoot at movement.
No, you have to make sure there's somebody around that can disarm it. This is like I said, for an Alamo type situation. So if we have to use these things, we're
in
in
deep
a lot of
shit
trouble.
already, is what you're saying?
Yeah, and we should be either by the ship or getting into it. But we need somebody manning them just in case.
Well, both the Yautja and the Xenomorphs are pretty big, right?
Oh yeah,
bigger than humans.
oh yeah.
Maybe
Maybe it discerns that. I suppose it would have to, right? So it's not shooting up rats when it's just set up to scan. So
I would
there's
have
probably
to believe it can be set up with a. Obviously, we know from some of the other scenarios in the game. I think it came up in Destroyer of Worlds at one point that the sentry guns won't shoot at anybody that has a friendly PDT chip. So we know that much. But what you're saying stands to reason. They're not going to. They've got to have some sort of sensitivity from that standpoint as well, because they're motion detecting. But like you said, you're not gonna set those things up and have them gun down rats, because you're not gonna find a colony out there that doesn't have some sort of rat-like rodent, right? I mean, they go where humans go.
That's so much.
Did I ever tell you guys about the time that Jim made an actual sentry gun in real life?
Yeah, I actually didn't finish it, but I was very close.
That thing was badass.
Yeah.
That's
For
really
airsoft.
terrifying.
For airsoft.
Oh, we're talking in the 2000s. I bought a surplus tough book, the old silver tough books cop used to carry, and there was some dudes on the early internet that actually created a Windows program, Windows 95 or 98 program, that does the motion tracking. And you can probably find it on YouTube. It's hilarious, but it's also terrifying because it was really good at tracking targets and shooting at them.
Oh wow.
And this is all homebrew stuff. So I got a small airsoft gun, mounted it onto a turntable that's like ball bearings. It didn't have any elevation capability, but it certainly tracked. And I came to the realization, like, oh my God, what if somebody put this on like a remote control vehicle and rolled it into a shopping center with a real.
Oh,
Jesus.
I hate to put that out into the world because I have a feeling one day that's going to happen. But yeah, so you can make your own sentry guns.
Yeah. Do you have your smartphone with you?
Yeah.
Oh well, then good. Then don't worry, you're on the FBI's list now.
Yeah, right. Oh, I said it's another room, so we're broadcasting this.
Hilarious.
So yeah, it's scary, but yeah, San Francisco I think is voting on using remote. I don't know if they're manned by humans like a UAV or if they're truly remote, but they're voting on whether or not they can be lethal. So welcome to RoboCop.
Yeah, right.
Right.
And
anyway,
as a side note, this, by the way, is your Aliens movie trivia moment of this game session. The smart guns that Drake and Vasquez carry were actually built from surplus German MG-42s. They
now that you mention that, it seems like the cowling is sort of a dead giveaway, but only if you know that ahead of time.
Oh yeah. No, Cameron wanted them to look realistic, and there was nothing more realistic than to actually build them out of actual German machine guns, I guess. And I guess back in the 80s, getting a hold of a German MG-42 was relatively cheap and easy, at least as far as movie budgets are concerned. So.
Yeah, pretty cool. So anyway, we're setting up these puppies on the fore and aft, 180 degrees apart to cover not a 360, but as close as we can get. Sure. And let's see what happens. I'm going to send my two of my guys out forward to just kind of push out and recon the area, see if there's anything out there to draw fire. Hopefully not.
Yeah, as you guys are moving out, everything is very silent. And when we say, earlier I pointed out that Jake from the ship sensors indicated a lack of animal life. It's absolutely true. There's nothing out here. Um, you would expect to hear birds. You would expect small animals. But there doesn't seem to be anything out here. There's insects, but that's about it. And even them, not very many, because it is kind of chilly. Um, oh, and Rose is also, she's with you guys. She's decked out in Stratsoul armor, and she's actually carrying an SMG, a Stratsoul SMG. So,
So can I make now that we're into the clearing? Can I make observation rolls? And
please.
see what I can come up with.
Well, a success. Wow, look at you guys go.
Mm.
It's all very quiet. There's no sign of anything or that anyone has come near this particular grassy plain.
Well, even the vegetation doesn't look like anything came crashing through into the clearing, or
No, not at all. Pardon me, sorry. You know that one of the drop ships is off to the southeast, and then the other one is to the northeast. On the they're on opposite sides of the plateau.
all right. So
we told Price to get his guys and get to the exfil site as soon as possible. That was quite some time ago. So
they should be here, and if they're not here, something happened.
yeah.
I'll send my two guys out to do a perimeter search.
Okay. How far
At the
out?
edge of out to the edge of the clearing. I'm sure it's not perfectly circled, but whatever the
Sure.
contours, the logical contour lines of
Yeah.
the clearing.
Makes sense. So yeah, they really they report back with a couple things. There's nothing in the plain area, in the general area you're at. One of them reports back that he did spot the drop ship on the southern edge of the plateau. That was the one that had been damaged, that you presume that was shot down. And he also thought he saw large metallic objects in the forest. They look like drop pods, like USCMC drop pods, but they're similar. I shouldn't say they look like them. They're similar in terms of their general appearance.
So design is similar, but they're different manufacturer.
Definitely.
And they're open?
Yes. Whoever was in them is not in them anymore.
And big, I presume, for their inhabitants.
Yeah, they're each one's over 3 meters tall. And there is, you guys have some observation successes. I'll give it to Jake because he had the three most. Jake, you guys are 1.5 kilometers west of the plateau, which is not a huge distance, but you definitely, Price had said something about a cave system under the plateau, and you actually make out an entrance into that cave system, at least to a cave on the western side of the plateau.
All right, guys, what do we do? It was not our plan to go running in to a firefight. But obviously, these guys aren't coming. What do we do?
Or they can't come. All right, what's our secondary mission down here? Our primary was to do the rescue. What's the secondary of coming to this place in the first place,
Well,
right?
the before we even had a rescue mission, our primary mission of coming to the system was to validate that this was the origin of those ships, the engineer ships, and hopefully determine if this was maybe their home planet, although it's not clear you can tell that from one clearing with a ship and some caves.
Right.
Our scans of the planet didn't show any cities or buildings or technology, right?
Nothing.
Nothing. Just
Literally just this.
this. So, now it's a rescue mission, but what if there's nobody left to rescue?
Can we do a search for their ID tags or whatever you call it?
Their
That's true.
PDT chips?
PDT chips, yes. Let's do that.
Yeah, you would need access to one of the computer systems that they're linked to, which you would probably find on the Cheyenne
Cheyenne.
dropships. Yeah.
And they're about a kilometer away, right?
Yeah. Yeah. The
Okay.
closest
I
one's
wonder-
about a kilometer away to the southeast.
Have you ever seen at slaughterhouses the cattle chutes that feed them into the abattoir? I feel like we're in a chute.
Well, my personal suggestion
Ooh.
is wait here an hour. If they're not here, we leave.
All right, so I've got a question of the medical guys, because I don't know exactly how they work, but the chips provide all kinds of data on the person too, right? Not just who they are, but it can provide life signs and stuff.
Yeah.
So if we can get to the data and there's no life signs, then they're probably all toast. It's unlikely something reached in and grabbed their chip and extracted it and threw it on the ground. They would have extracted like the whole head and spine and whatever. So
is the Cheyenne, is it between us and the engineer ship, or is it
No, because the engineer ship's up on the plateau,
right?
which is a click and a half to your east. So one of the Cheyenne's about a kilometer to the southeast,
Right.
on the edge of the woods near the plateau, and then the other one's on the far northern side of the plateau. It's a little further away.
yeah, it would be
And the
like,
one that's more jacked up is
The one that's closest to you.
closest to us, and that's not necessarily approaching the engineer ship, right?
Not really, because it's the plateau is a good 40 meters tall, and it's pretty uniform. Its overall circumference and diameter about exactly matches the engineer ship. The engineer ship sits on it perfectly, and you got the sense that it was perfectly flat on top.
It was made for it. Yeah. I suggest that myself and one of the security guys go and check out the closest Cheyenne. Turning to Rudy.
you might need more support than that. I'll go with. These guys have the auto guns protecting the ship.
Well, more support also means bigger footprint.
Yeah, but let's.
Well, you were a former Marine, right? So.
Yeah.
So you have. So you got range combat pretty good then.
9 dice
Wow.
without bonuses.
Wow. Okay.
All right.
That's pretty good. So, 3 of us.
All right. You go traipsing off while everybody else stays behind. So we're just
With
going.
our motion trackers on and very stealthily.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and let's do a couple things. Since you have a motion tracker, go ahead and make your power roll on your motion tracker. And then, of the 3 of you, the question is who has the lowest mobility? Since you made the point of saying stealthily, the SSI security guy has a 5.
I'm a 5.
Mobility.
Well, are we talking total dice or just the mobility score?
Agility plus mobility.
Yeah.
I'm a 7.
Well, just for the 3 of them, though.
Yeah, mine's 7 for
Oh, yours.
mobility.
Oh, okay. All right. So, Dwayne Dunning, go ahead and make a mobility roll, and Hicks, you need to lose a point off your power on your.
I did.
Okay. Very good. That's
Nice.
pretty impressive. So you guys are staying fairly quick and quiet as you go.
Yeah, which didn't help them in the movie. But it's a hard habit to break.
Yeah. As you approach the Cheyenne, the tail is where the primary engine is located is basically gone. You see telltale markings of what looks like weapons fire, but it's scorched and burnt, and even melted at points. It so you can draw your own conclusions as to what hit it. Um, the main hatch or the tail is the main ramp is open where normally an APC would drive out of it, but and there are lights on inside, very low reddish orange lights, probably leftover emergency battery power type things. Um, there's nothing or no one around.
All right. Well,
We're all
Sorry,
deployed?
I'm sorry. It was just the 3 of us. It was myself, a security guy, and Dwayne. I was talking when my mic was muted. So yeah, I check out the interior of the ship.
It's pretty. I mean, it's definitely empty. There's nobody here whatsoever. Um, you have no trouble finding the command console. It's powered down. And in terms of usually in terms of equipment or that type of thing, there's a handful of pulse rifles, clips, that type of thing. But it looks like they took most everything with them. The thing's pretty much been cleaned out.
How about the APC?
There was no APC. It doesn't look like.
Oh, okay. Damn it.
um, does this thing have emergency battery power? I don't know how these vehicles.
That's what it looks like it's running on now.
So you could power up the. You could power up the panels and see if we're getting any readouts from their PDTs.
I wonder if it's gonna throw. Well, no. I mean, we landed with the shuttle and nobody took notice of us. But I just hope if we power this up, it doesn't.
The whole reason of coming here, though, was to try and get into their system so that we could see if there's PDT readings, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
So who's got the Comtech
well,
job?
that's probably the problem here. I've got
Yeah.
Damn it.
Well, put it you this way. I don't think it requires a Comtech roll just to turn the damn thing on.
That's true.
So,
Well, I agree with that. Yeah.
So, in so doing, it kind of flickers to life for a moment, and as it does, the emergency lights inside dim, and then it flickers off again. The lights come back up just a little bit. You're not getting enough power to turn it on. You need a power source.
Well, crap.
All right. Well, we can't waste any time. Let's maybe salvage the gear that's in here that's usable and bring it back to the shuttle, and then.
I mean, a battery pack from something you have might work.
Well, I have a
Oh,
flash.
really? Oh, okay. I wasn't sure if it was.
Yeah, well, I was
Thanks, GM.
looking to see what I had. All I have is a
Okay.
flashlight. You guys have anything besides anything else?
Flashlight or motion tracker, either one of those uses a battery pack.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean we've got the motion trackers.
All right, so take your pick. What are we gonna? Which one are we gonna?
We have multiple motion trackers, so let's try one of the
All right.
motion trackers. Right, we only have one flashlight. Geniusly.
All right. So to try to jury rig that in, I'm going to call for a heavy machinery roll.
Oh, ha ha ha! Let's see what we can do with that.
And you had what, 3 power left on that? Oh, 1 success. All right, very good. All right, you had what, 3 power left on that? Is that right, Hicks?
Correct.
All right, so go ahead and make a 3 power roll for that battery pack. See if it degrades any further. But so after a few minutes worth of work, Dwayne, he gets the panel cracked open and gets the battery pack out of the motion tracker, gets it hooked up, and the CRT monitors start coming to life. It's It looks like there were 22 guys that it's tracking with the PDT chips, and of the 22 of them, 17 of them are flatlined. Of the other 4, including Lieutenant Colonel Price and a lieutenant and 2 privates, vital signs are low, but they're there. When I say low, I'm talking 10 beat per minute heart rate, that type of thing.
Oh,
Not
crap.
quite cryo low, but pretty low. Heavily sedated maybe.
And we just see their stats. We don't see a location.
You know what? That's really interesting. Make a Comtech roll, somebody. See if
All
you
right.
can access.
What do we got for dice? How many dice do you have?
So now, hold on a sec. If not that I want to argue with you, Marty, GM Marty. I mean, if you're a sergeant in the UCMC or USMC,
USCMC.
UC whatever. I mean, wouldn't an NCO know how to operate this panel to?
You know what? Yeah, I'll give you that. Yeah, that's a fair argument. Absolutely, I'll give you that. I am going to ask you to make another power roll on that battery pack though, because you're putting a lot of strain on it.
You got it.
Okay, hanging in there. So flipping through, because if you remember from the movie, Gorman had access to the cameras that were mounted on the side of their helmets, and some of these have nothing; they're just static. And then some of them are not static, but they're just black screens. So the camera may be obstructed by something. There might be something over the camera or what have you. And you find one that is clearly the image of an interior of a cave. It's very dark. There's a what looks like a flashlight beam that's kind of askew across it, which is giving you enough light to tell that you're within a cave. There's well, you know what? It's really hard to see with the resolution of the camera and how dark the cave is. Lieutenant Colonel Price's camera is active, and it's partially obscured. You only can see kind of half of the screen, and it looks like it. Well, I don't know. Make a wits roll. Anyone who's seeing it, so that'd be the two of you. Just make a straight wits roll. Well, okay then. Um, so part of it's obscured, and you can't really tell much from that. But as you're looking at it, you start to realize you can see a hand, and that hand has, you've seen it before. The hand has kind of wrapped around its fingers and its wrists so that it's immobile, kind of a resin, kind of a shiny, goopy, but hardening resin. And the index finger is twitching just a little bit.
They got him.
That's sad.
They got them all.
That makes me sad. The little twitch there at the end, Marty. Good touch.
Yeah,
Good touch. Made me sad.
that's his sad voice. I can't tell.
This is voice.
Now, the second question, and this is all technical stuff going from the movies or whatever. I mean, I would think that the system would record video feeds for
Yes,
review later.
I think
So,
that's a safe statement.
is there enough power to rewind and see what these guys were up against?
Well, it should be digital, right?
Yeah.
Should be. I'm not sure you can extract it. It's it's a military system, so it's probably encrypted or something. You wouldn't be able to bring it back to the shuttle. But
Yeah, do you want to make your way backward, or do you want to like reverse to a certain point and then move forward from there? How do you want to do it?
Backwards. So
Okay.
starting with the twitchy finger.
And then just going back from there. All
Yeah.
right. So
Smart move.
yeah. So hit another power roll, and
Oh! Ouch!
yeah, you're draining the hell out of this battery pack, so you're down to one.
So down to one.
But so following Price's camera, it looks like he's been in that position for some time, maybe an hour or more even. Prior to that, there's a sense of movement, but it's hard to tell what's going on, as if whatever is moving is almost too close to the camera. And the camera's got its own built-in, small light source, and of course they have shoulder lamps on their armor. For a moment, you get, a reflected gleam of light off of a black ebony carapace. For a moment, you get a flash of metal teeth. You can't really see, but it's just these flashes of movement. And as you continue to reverse, it's quite clear that Price was either carried or dragged to wherever he is now. And you continue to reverse and continue to reverse, and you reach a point where he is firing a weapon, and as it reverses, he puts the pulse rifle down, or I should say, well, I guess you're watching in reverse. So yeah, he puts the pulse rifle down. He's messing with what looks like a communications panel. He's talking to somebody. You hear it's fast forwarded, so you don't really make out what's being said. But there's other Marines around him. There's other weapons fire. Prior to that, it's kind of a mad dash retreat. Well, I guess it looks like they're going in reverse towards the cave system from the drop ship. You're not, you don't really have a sense of direction, except that the drop ship that they're leaving and heading towards the cave system in reverse, it doesn't appear to have the tail damage of the one you're in now, so you're assuming it's the other drop ship. You get a really good glimpse for a moment of one of the wings, which looks like it has been torn or cut off. so why it wasn't flight worthy. Um, they go into a cave system, and all the while there's weapons firing, there's shouting, there's shouted orders, there's comms chatter. Um, they go into a large. Well, you guys probably don't see that. You don't see anything, so that's fine. We're just gonna leave you right there for now because I need that for my reference. They 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 go into a very large cave, which they had, if you were to play it back forward in your mind at normal speed, they came out of and went north. So you're surmising that this is probably the cave entrance near you. On the western side of the plateau, and it's a relatively large, wide cave system. Again, there's all this weapons fire. You hear inhuman screeching, all at a high rate of speed. In the cave system, they go into a the main cave system they're in seems to stretch off further in one direction past where their light sees. And at one point, there's this big, perfectly spherical boulder type thing that you recognize. You've been through them before on GBH 45. The big spherical rock doors that seem to turn and provide a passageway. They don't go near that, but there is a smaller one that they come out of out of a smaller cave. And it's running, it's fighting, it's weapons fire, smart guns, pulse rifles, even flame units. They move into a much narrower set of caves through one of these big spherical rock doors. And the weapons firing is all continuing. And then all of a sudden it stops. And they're just walking backwards through the cave system, through another cave door, one of those big round doors. And so you've reached the point where all the firing started, essentially. And you can keep going back if that's what you want to keep doing. And I'll keep describing unless you want to stop there. Just this is the first major change is the best way to put it. You're muted.
So all the stuff, all the creatures we saw up to this point look like Xenos, or
Well,
surmise are Xenos. Or?
Yeah. Though when you got to this point, right before the weapons fire started, or I should say, right before the weapons fire stopped, right? There were definitely flashes of blue light. You had that high-pitched inhuman screeching before, but now you've got, and you're hearing in reverse at an accelerated time, so it's kind of bizarre. But there's no lack of recognizing, one of these Yautja roar, even in reverse at a higher rate of speed. It's still terrifying. So it looks like the Marines entered a part of a cave, and without playing it back at regular time forward, it's hard to know exactly how it happened. But it looks like there were both XX-121s as well as Yautja involved, and it didn't last long before the Marines were in flight. Now, there was a lot of weapons fire. There was a lot of acid blood. You would probably have to go back through and watch it all and count, but you're fairly certain they took out quite a few.
Yeah, there's always more where those came from. Okay. Did Rudy go with us? No.
No, Rudy's back with the rest
back.
of it. Yeah.
Do these suits of armor have comms, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we need to give a brief update back to the ship,
Yeah.
to the boat, and then so you give a brief update, and then my question was, if this is all digital, that means that this stuff was stored somewhere on a I don't know the tech, but it's some kind of a drive.
Yeah, stands to reason. Absolutely.
So
I
I
think I think Hicks would probably know where that is.
yeah, oh, yeah, and I was
I'm just guessing it's encrypted and that you'd need a
I just figured, why don't we grab that drive? It's more evidence. Why don't we
sure.
grab that drive and take it with us? And we need to hustle our asses back to the lifeboat and try and decide what to do next. Because um, from experience, we know there's not much time left for these guys, and who knows? Even if we save them, who knows what surprises might pop out.
What time of day is it?
Oh, we never even discussed that.
No, it's obviously you're not entirely certain of the day-night cycle of this planet. We
Right.
didn't really get into it, but it's daytime. It's
Well, we
daytime.
need to do something before it gets dark, because you know what happens when it gets dark.
Mostly.
Yes, I think we'll beat feet back to the lifeboat, and we'll call it back, extract the cassette or data
Yeah.
tape or whatever the hell it is, and anything else that we can hand carry that's useful, pulse rifles slung on their shoulders or whatever, and make it back. Grenades, if there are any grenades on board, I want grenades.
You know what? That's a fair statement. If you're looking for grenades specifically, make an observation roll. A success. All right. So I'll give you something. Yeah, you find a cache of 5 standard grenades, M40
Awesome.
grenades. So the way a grenade works is it's a thrown item. You can throw it up to one zone away, so it's basically a short range weapon, and it exposes everything in that zone to an 8 blast. So you make your range combat roll to see if you hit where you want the grenade to hit, and then you roll 8d6, and every 6 is a
Ooh,
point of damage.
that's nice.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
don't drop it.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good. All right. Anything else to do with the ship here, the drop ship? No. If not, then let's move back.
I'm just going to warn you guys. I got about 10 minutes.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine. We'll get you guys back to the. We'll get everybody back together and.
Or will you? All right. We'll hustle our butt back. So what did we discern? There's 4 or 5 left. 4, 5, 4, 4.
There were 4 guys, including Price.
Right. So 3 and him. 4. All right. All right. So we got to click back to the lifeboat. So let's do it.
Yep.
You want us
Yep.
to do another agility roll, mobility roll?
Yeah, that's fine. We can do that.
Oh,
You can push it if you want. Three successes. Wow. That's impressive.
wow. That's enough to lift the other 2 guys up if they fall down.
Yeah.
Frankly, maybe I could carry them both. All right. Let's go. All right.
Alrighty. Oh shit! Damn it! All right. Well, whatever. Hopefully you guys didn't see that roll. You did, I'm sure. Hey, wait. I can hide it. Ha ha. All right. All right, so that's fine. Yeah, you guys, quick and quiet, make it back, and you already radioed in, so everybody's, after a couple minutes, everybody's aware of what the plan is. But yeah, it's about 2 p.m. Eastern, so that might be a decent place to
All right.
pause till next week.
So, what we need to decide right away next week is what do we do next? Because I got to tell you, I'm kind of split. Going into the lion's den when the people we were trying to save may be savable or they may be beyond saving. We might be making a sacrifice for nothing.
Very important point.
And I guess from my side, the biggest thing that I'm currently considering is we're not soldiers, we're not, rescue personnel. We are originally a scientific team, so there's only one or two of us with, specialist training. The rest are just common people.
Oh,
So
there's nothing common about you, Bob.
All right. But I'm going to remind you guys that Dwayne has been suffering from a nightmare, a trauma, every single time he goes into cryo because we left that person behind on that station, encapsulated in that black stuff. And now all the stuff we've learned over time, his imagination is running wild about what happened. So he's gonna have a strong drive to try and save these guys, but
yep.
but he's got a strong need to stay alive too. All right, so that's.
I think Rose would also point out, or she would probably say something to the tune of, you know, I don't want to be the cold-hearted bitch here, but in my business, I've often had to make sacrifices of certain assets to accomplish a mission. And what we have right over there, and she points at the ship on top of the plateau, is the Holy Grail. It's right there. We just have to figure out how to take it.
Back to my point about Rudy knowing how to pilot, maybe in my session.
Rudy's got a pretty good idea. She knows she needs some sort of flute.
Yep, we need to play some music. I mean, I can read the signage now.
Yeah, I see that, but wait, does that mean we sacrifice Price and his Marines to grab the ship? Maybe
I think the question is, I'm sorry if I stepped on your...
that's okay.
Sorry. I think it sort of depends on what our characters know about the state of their fate, because there's a lot of player knowledge. Like, we know as players that they're done. I mean, they're done.
Right.
But do the characters have any reason to think that way?
Well, Hicks would. I mean, he saw what happened.
Okay, so Hicks definitely knows. That's a good
Yeah,
point.
and Ripley will know on the ship.
I think if someone explained it, right, like for Rudy anyway, she doesn't want to leave people behind either, but it's just a simple rescue calculation. You can't risk 5 living people for 7 people.
Well, let me ask this. I'm probably going to get too into weeds, but because you have that whole data dump in your head, Rudy, is there any evidence that you can extract an ovomorph, I guess it's called, or
working?
Is there any evidence that you can do that without killing the host? That's
Hachi, is there any evidence?
Well, Ripley told you outright that she was impregnated by one.
Oh, that's right.
And Wayland Yutani was able to remove it.
That's right. Okay, yeah.
But how would we do that?
Throw them in choir and cryo and deliver them to Wayland.
And I don't know. Yeah, maybe.
I mean, these people are. Don't forget, they've become an extreme commodity now because they have an embryo inside of them.
Right.
And
So, like, taking them off planet is probably not doing them or anyone else a favor.
It's true.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're essentially bringing
So
a plague victim into a new country by taking them off.
There's a
Yeah,
lot
and
to
Major
consider.
Corps want the virus to study and weaponize, so somebody's
we
going to
do-
start them up.
We do have the whole flute thing. I haven't seen anything quite like that. Looking at the stuff we've been looking at, have you?
The flute thing.
He's got it to fly the ship, doesn't he? Need access
Yeah.
to this
Yeah. It's
magic
music-based.
flute, the Pied Piper magic flute.
That's
Yeah.
right. Music-based flying. That's pretty cool.
All right, well, that's a lot to think about for next week.
Well,
Just
next
don't
week,
whistle.
next week
Just don't
we're-
whistle near the helm. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Don't
right.
whistle your favorite tune on the bridge.
We still trying Blade Runner next week?
Well, that's a question. We can
That would-
Okay.
put Alien on hold next week and start out Blade Runner if you guys want.
Or do
We're
you
so
wanna-
close to the end, aren't we?
maybe, yeah, either
Is that just an
TPK
illusion?
or
It feels like we're close to a climax of sorts. But that could be just me. Why don't you tell
There's
us,
a
Mike?
joke in there somewhere, but
I was about to say.
sorry.
And,
I'm
you
sorry,
can
that part of
figure
my
it out.
brain, I don't have enough energy to like edit myself at all.
Oh yeah.
no, I mean, up to you guys. I'm happy either way.
I-
So
I'm kind of. I mean, I want to really try Blade Runner, but I really want to see what happens here. Because,
well, let's show up for Alien next week then.
Yeah.
Yeah, sounds
No.
good.
Down
all
for
right,
either,
cool.
but yeah,
Yeah,
that's
well, I like the way this is going. All right.
All right,
Sure.
guys. We'll see you in a week.
Thank
Okay.
you, everyone.
Just
Bye.
curious,
Next
since
week.
you, Marty, since you do this, what's your